We could make out now.
Yeah.
Chin forward.
Gus is making out with the goose.
Forward.
Well, now I feel left out.
Come on again.
Who is the cattiest one?
I'll be surprised if we don't all have the same answer for this.
Me too.
You can throw that together, couldn't you, Will?
You got a week and a half, Will.
This little face, see this face he's making right now? But what you can't see is his fingers in the Slack saying, yes, I'll get on that right now, no worries.
Don't put a butt plug.
Literally said I'm okay with it.
In the chat.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, then
What would
plug
we be?
away. Plug away.
Here comes the alpha wolf.
Alpha wolf.
What the fuck just happened? Plug away indeed, my friends. Hello and welcome to Back Pocket for Thursday, the 22nd of July, live from the Loki Studios. I am Nick Boy Richardson, and tonight on the show, it's an M&M special, MMOs and MOBAs. Also, if someone doesn't pick Ocean Girl, I'm gonna throw hands. But I'm not the only one picking random girls. Gus?
Oh, fuck you. Oh, these are all over the shop today.
Go
Gus
ahead.
over here, who I welcome to the Wolf's Den.
Oh no.
No.
Next to me.
I hate that. And next to me.
I got to side with Steph on this one.
What if you didn't even say your names? You just said, I hate this, move on.
Yeah.
I don't think you're allowed to say welcome to the Wolf's Den while you're wearing a COD Warzone t-shirt. That feels like...
I'm not wearing one though, but oh shit, I am.
There you go.
You are.
Surprise! All right. I am disturbed enough by this. Let's cut to Will. Will, how are you doing, little buddy, on the ones and twos?
Oh, sorry, I was a little bit crooked with my glasses. I can't quite fix them, sorry.
No, you're crooked with your head.
No, it's the glasses.
You look like you're wearing an eye patch.
They are.
I insist we update this gag for next week. But in the meantime, let's go to our cozy, normal, at-home shot. Peter Burns, hit me now.
Yay.
So much room for activities.
I'm
So
Hello,
cozy, so
everybody.
comfy.
I'm literally getting foggy.
Welcome to Back Pocket. I don't want to start on a downer, but my God, the third lockdown is really getting to me.
Yeah, same.
Same. And I've tried to be
Slowly
really
going mad.
positive. I've tried to be really positive because I'm like, we've been luckier than most and we live, out of the city in a really nice place and everything we have is lovely and we have a cute dog and life is good. And then slowly that positivity has just been leaching out of my body every morning when I wake up and I'm like, what day is it?
Yeah.
I thought you
What
were
are we
speaking on
doing?
behalf of Australia. And
Where
you're like,
are we?
We're really lucky. We have a cute dog. I'm like, as a nation?
No, I just mean like us as individuals. But I feel like, yeah, it's just getting harder. And part of this, I think, is like, yes, we are fortunate, but it's okay to feel shitty as well.
Totally.
I besides the mental toll and the trapped inside and all of it, the worst part came yesterday, which is the amount of time on hold while on phone calls. I had to call Service New South Wales. I was on hold for 45 minutes and then they transferred me to another department and disconnected the call. I called them back. I was on hold for 2.5 hours before I got through. Finally got through to a very nice woman who was incredibly helpful, sorted that out. Then last night, we're sitting on the couch. Beck turns to me. She's like, have the groceries been delivered? I was like, shit, no. They were supposed to be here at 4 o'clock this afternoon. So at 9 o'clock last night, I call up Woolworths. I'm on hold for 2 hours to get to talk to Woolworths. And they're like, we're so sorry. Something happened with the groceries, blah, blah, blah. We'll get it to you at 9 o'clock this morning. And I'm like, okay, cool. And they gave me like credit and like wiped the delivery fee, whatever. 9 o'clock rolls around, groceries not here. 4 o'clock rolls around, groceries not here. I call up Woolworths. I'm on hold for another 25 minutes and then I have to go have a shower so I can do this show. I still don't have groceries. And
The man's starving.
He's starving for 2.5 hours. I'm not having
man.
food. I'm just drinking. I just have alcohol.
I feel like
My baby is living on scotch.
I was so emotionally fragile this week that I cried almost. Well, I was on the brink of tears on the phone to a ticker tech woman.
Not in the shower?
Because I did you say in the shower?
I was expecting one
That's
of
where
the
you hide your tears.
sit downs. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh no, the shower is a calming, safe space for me.
Gotcha.
No,
That's where you want to be involved.
I had purchased tickets to see the Harry Potter play in Melbourne, and of course can no longer do that. And I got them on a deal because it's quite expensive because it's like 5 hours or something, and you have to see like 2 shows. They split it into 2 shows, and you have to see it either over 2 nights or you see a matinee and the night performance. Like it's huge.
Yeah.
So they're very expensive tickets, and I was kind of umming and ahhing about whether to get them. And then I found like a 2-for-1 deal, like a half price thing, and I was like, "Fuck yeah!" So I bought those tickets, and then of course had to cancel them. And then I called up and was like, "Hi, can I move these tickets to like a few months from now or whatever?" And they were like, "Yep, sure, but like because you bought these in a promotion, that price doesn't apply to your same thing, so you have to pay an extra $350." And I was like,
Whoa.
what? So I kind of like got off the phone and I called my friend. I was like, is this okay? Like we couldn't refund our flights. We have to move them. So we're going to have to go to Melbourne anyway. Like, do you want to pay the rest? And she was like, yeah, that's fine. And then I got back on the phone and spoke to a different woman. And she was like, let me see if I can match that for you. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was on hold for like 10 minutes. And then she came back and she's like, it's all sorted. You don't have to pay anymore. And I was like,
Oh, that's so good.
Nice. There's something even more tragic about making a good deal and then losing the deal. Like, that's
totally.
Like saying,
totally.
sorry, we can't refund your tickets, and you don't go. I don't want to say that's worse, but it almost, that's better, but it almost would be better. Be like, well, you know, we just whitewash the whole thing, forget it. We could never have gone, but like missing out on that, it almost hurts more.
It was also the fact that she went out of her way. Like I literally called up and was like, hi, I'm ready to pay $350. And she was just like, oh, no, I'm sure we can do something. And it was and I was like, you are so kind. You are such a nice person. You've made my day. Honestly, she was like, look, we need our small wins at the moment, don't we? And I was like, we do.
Did you finish with this one, which I do anytime I'm on the phone to someone? I'm not proud of this because it's not as polite as it sounds. But it's the one where after a helpful phone call at the very end, and it's been a long phone call, you're like,
rattled some Skittles.
Thank you so much. And just fuck off, Pete. Thank you so much. And sorry, what was your name again? And they're like, it was Kevin. Kevin?
Right.
Thank you so much. It's like that little thing that goes, I'm now approving that you're a human. You did something nice. You were helpful. It's like before that, you could have been just like, goodbye.
Didn't care. Yeah.
And it was Barbara, thank you. You made my day.
Sorry, you go, Pete.
I was just going to say, I just got a video call from my mum. Do you mind if I take it?
No,
Andy, chuck her on.
Hey.
Is she covering the camera with her thumb?
No.
We're going in to say, see your beautiful hairy face, and then we realise, it's Thursday night. He's working tonight, so we won't annoy you.
Yeah, I'm live right now.
Than usual.
I'm live right now.
Hey,
that's Mum and Dad on the couch.
Hi, Colin.
Hey, everybody.
G'day, Mandy. G'day, Colin.
They're gonna call.
So cute.
You're on the show. Yeah, you're on the show. We'll talk later when I'm less busy. In your words.
Peter, before you hang up.
Sorry, Gus wants to ask something.
I just want to ask, sorry, and your names were again quickly?
And sorry, your names were again quickly. It's a bit. He remembers.
Thank you so much. You've been very helpful.
The audience.
I'll call you later.
Ask them what the season 6 finale of The Blacklist was like.
They're watching The Blacklist.
I know.
Isn't that the one where they just
funny.
drew it? Is that show where they just drew? What was the show that ended? So I think it was The Blacklist. I swear to God. So the series finale of The Blacklist happened during the first COVID lolockdown where they stopped all production and they just used
storyboards.
They basically used storyboards and pre-comp cinematics, pre-comp animatics and stuff. Yeah. So that's very fun.
Holy shit.
Finally, I will say that with the ticket thing, and we will get to video games in a second. We bought tickets a year and a half ago to Bluey's big show, and then it got cancelled because of COVID last year, and they delayed it by a year. So then it started this year. But when we bought them, Elkie was like 2 months old, and so she didn't take up a chair. So we bought 3 tickets, and then when we got there, we've got like a toddler walking around with us, and one of the ticket people was like, tickets, and they're like, headed over. They're like, there's 3 tickets here. I was like, I know. They go, you got 4 people, and I held her up, and I was like, we bought these tickets when this was a baby. This baby is seeing Bluey. And they're like, all right, fine, go in.
Good.
Oh, God. All right. Well, we hope that you guys are doing as well as you can all around the country. We're here to add some levity to your night. We've got a fun show planned tonight, but it's going to start the way that it always starts. That's with an in-depth conversation about lockdown fatigue. I don't know about you guys, but this third one is really hard.
Sorry, Nick. I'm just going to put you on hold there for a second, if that's all right.
What's his name again?
What was your name
We need
again?
the small wins. We need the small wins.
We need the small wins. What's that noise in the background, ma'am? Are you crying? No, it's just the shower. All right, let's jump into what we've been playing this week with the little segment we like to call I'm just saying. What y'all been playing? Just saying. What y'all been playing? Oh, wow, the scotch really hit the sides all of a sudden. Brent Jones, a.k.a. LokiCat, brings us this segment. Thank you very much, Brent Jones. We hope that you're doing as well as you can in lockdown and isolation. You may be in a long-term relationship, and if so, I hope that you and your partner are getting on well, but at least you've got the bird.
I can tell you how Brent Jones is doing because I've been playing an MMO with LokiCat the last couple of days.
She's burning content.
No. Gus, it's fine to talk about it on the show. On the show, it's not burning content. It's just content. It's using content.
This is it. This is the content.
I don't know. We literally just said the words LokiCat, and Steph's about to talk about a video game called New World. I can't think of a better time for Steph to have brought up that she's playing the New World with LokiCat. It's nigh impossible.
Let's burn this content. Burn it to the ground.
Talk to me about LokiCat and New World, Steph.
So I don't know why I got so excited for this because I typically don't like MMOs. I don't really enjoy the kind of grindy nature of them. They typically look a bit shitty because it's such a big open world shared environment that I'm like, you know, I don't get enough cool aesthetic from it. And I don't like the kind of sort of, I don't know, clicky, macro-y nature of it where you're just sort of hitting your number keys over and over again in combat that feels really blah. Mm. But I saw New World gameplay when they sort of released the alpha. I didn't participate in the alpha, but I saw footage from it. And this is the game that's by Amazon Studios, by the way. So
the one game that made it.
The one that didn't get cancelled. Yeah.
It's still alive.
And it only made it because Bezos was in space and didn't have the attention
20 minutes
to cancel.
he's up there, release it.
Release the game.
And I think it was just one of those scenarios where when I sort of started looking into it and I mentioned that it looked interesting to a few people, a lot of other people were excited about it. And then it kind of snowballed into this thing where I was just like so excited because I was caught up in the hype. So I pre-ordered the game because if you pre-order the game, then you get access to the closed beta, which is running right now for 2 weeks, and jumped in with a bunch of friends, and it is awesome. It's like it's obviously like a sort of medieval-esque fantasy, but I'm very much a traditionalist when it comes to fantasy. Like part of the reason why I love The Witcher so much, apart from the characters and the story, is that the setting is very, you know, hardline traditional fantasy, and this is very similar in that sense. But it's also really great because as an MMO, you're not kind of doing that thing where you're kind of just necessarily spamming buttons and watching your character do all the work. It's kind of more of a action RPG where you're playing a character that a little bit closer. You can kind of go down into more of a third person sort of perspective and fight with you know, some blocking and some different abilities and stuff like that. There's a bit more kind of enjoyment from a more tactile style combat. The other thing that's cool is that there's no class system to it. You don't pick a class, or there's only one race, it's just humans. But the different weapon combinations that you decide to start putting points into will determine your play style. So, and there's really no restriction. Like you can have a magic fire staff and a battle axe, which is what I'm favoring at the moment. Or you can be a person with a musket and an ice gauntlet. You can be a person who uses a giant freaking hammer and then like a bow and arrow. Like there's any combination of things that you want to use, you can use. You just have to put points into those trees. And then there's also your sort of standard attributes as well, which apply to which weapons you're kind of mainlining. You'll want to use obviously like intelligence if you're doing magic, and you want to put strength if you're doing sort of heavier weapons and stuff like that, so that you're kind of supporting the weapons that you've chosen. The other thing that's really cool about it, apart from the fact that it just looks so beautiful as a world,
It looks
is
amazing.
Peter, if you jump across to the
Peter's gone. I just looked down and he's left.
Yes, Pete just walked away.
Bad timing.
No, that's all good. If you just jump to the end of this clip, just quickly, what I think is interesting about it is that it has broken the world up into kind of different states, and when you join different factions, players belonging to that faction have the opportunity to kind of contest that territory and own it, and then there are like these kind of PvP war battles that you can kind of sign up for to try and invade that kind of enemy territory. And it's not necessarily
those
like
battles like petitioned off in a certain area in that area, like the sort of dark zone in Division or something?
It's like an instance thing that you go into. It's like you can still travel freely throughout the world and it's not an issue. I think when they first started with this game, they kind of had an idea to make it really PvP focused, which is a great idea in theory, but I think the majority of people just want to be able to play the game and not worry about getting ganked. So they changed it so that it was like very much an opt-in experience. And if you want to participate in these battles, you have a very civilized, scheduled battle time
Of course.
that you can participate in to contest territory and kind of own that area for your faction. When you kind of own an area and you kind of and you work together to kind of level it up, then you get perks for like crafting and better crafting stations and abilities and stuff. So it's you get benefits as a faction for owning states, and the more kind of monopoly that you have of the world, the easier it is for you to kind of level up your character and become better and do things without having to travel around too much because you're kind of taking over the land.
Is this like in place of, I guess, a narrative or a single player, like a single player story throughout all of this?
There's definitely a story to it, like a loose story in that a bunch of people have crashed and there was some kind of magical event that has teleported us to a new world, and no one really knows much about it, except that not everyone has fared well in that some people have become like weird undead zombies, and those are kind of a lot of the enemies that you fight. So the story is around kind of uncovering why this has happened, why we're all here, and why this new world is the way it is. I don't know too much about.
That's a good way for the writers to just backload their story and be like, we're here, we don't even know why we're here, and then the writers can later on.
It's a mystery.
Yeah, that's for DLC.
Yeah.
Is there magic in the game that's usable? Like as a character, can you play a magic class, or it's all
there's no magic class, but it's weapon based. Yeah, so you would just spec for magic if you want to be using a fire staff or whatever.
Oh, okay, right.
The three sort of magical weapons at the moment that I've encountered is a life staff if you want to be a healer, the fire staff, which is fire combat, and then there's the ice gauntlet. So I'm sure those things will kind of expand as the game goes on, but those are the kind of three magic things that you can take on. And as you start speccing those weapons, you unlock new abilities, cool kind of fire, storm explosions, and all that kind of stuff, which is so cool because I'm a person that I like to play a magic character, but then I feel left out of the close combat stuff. So I feel really cool that I'm literally running around with this huge fire staff, but I can shoot fireballs and do tornadoes of fire and stuff. But then I can also just pull out a giant battle axe and just smash things.
And how many abilities do you end up with? Because part of that is like you saying like you're not crazy about the traditional MMO rotation and stuff.
Yeah, you have 3 at the moment that you can kind of have on you, your sort of main abilities that you cycle through, and then there's a bunch of passive stuff that you're constantly ticking off as well that's adding to your thing.
Yeah, and are the main abilities selectable, or it's like these are the 3? So you have a pool of like 20 or something that you...
Yes. Okay, cool. Yes. And then you can kind of like mix different combinations and stuff like that. But then again, it's also like you're constantly unlocking new abilities for each weapon. So if you decide to switch to a giant hammer or whatever, then you unlock all of these different abilities for the hammer as well.
Yeah. Cool.
It's really cool, and it's just really beautiful and like well designed. Like it feels really like thoughtfully, just like the main city that we come in has this big pirate ship in the middle that has a little like tavern on it and stuff, and all of the different armor pieces and the design of all of the costuming stuff is really cool.
I feel like I'm getting some, and this is one we played a fair bit of, Steph, I remember, like, and I might be wrong, but like I'm getting Guild War-y vibes in terms of the combat, as you said, is a little more dynamic and reactive to what you do. The world building. Yeah, and even I remember Guild Wars, what was cool about it was the kind of melding of fantasies and stuff, just going like it's a bit of everything. But obviously that had such a more sort of painterly cartoon look. This is nice to see that like actual polish and like looks
and so when you say like, because even Guild Wars is automated combat, and then
here you can see the map, so you can see that we're part of the Syndicate, which is purple, and so. Well. Yeah. Well, so that's my only worry. So you can see the territories that are owned by the different factions there.
Yeah. And what's balancing that? Why isn't everyone just joining purple so they get the buffs?
That's my worry. Like quite often, what happens is that people, when they see that there's one faction that's doing well, they'll all just pile into that faction so that they'll get the perks of it. I really hope that
switch factions.
I think you can switch factions once,
right? Okay.
And then after that, I'm not sure how.
120 days, Sifcat says.
120, yeah, once every 120 days, yeah. So it's you can't just faction hop.
It's going to be like Fall Guys. It's poor Yellow is going to just get shat on by the other two. Everyone's just going to like have an agreement that.
Well, I think though the way they hope to kind of balance it a bit is that when a territory is contested and a war is scheduled. I think it's an equal number of players that can participate in that. So it becomes down to kind of skill-based fighting. So, I guess if you've got a bunch of people in one faction, then the skill level of that faction is probably higher because you've just got more people, a larger pool to draw from. But it's not going to be like an overwhelming thing from a numbers perspective.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, it's cool. I've seen some PvP because you just PvP is like a bit like in other MMOs. You just you toggle it on and then you become PvPable in the world.
Okay, cool. So there is still open world PvP.
Yes, you just opt in. Opt in if you want to. So I've seen fights breaking out when I'm just running past doing quests and stuff, and then you stop by and you watch and you're like, oh, well done.
Cheer mate.
Can I pencil myself in for a battle after this one? Are you guys free?
Yeah. And also, if you die, anyone can kind of res you if they're close to you. But if someone, I've experienced situations where someone has run up to me, seen that I'm not in the same faction, and been like, "See ya," and just left me to die. Whereas I always res anyone because I'm like, we're all new here, we're figuring this out, and then they do their little crouch thank you, the teabag thank you.
And so the other thing I just wanted to, I just wanted to ask about the combat.
Yeah.
You're going in and you say it's like an action RPG. So it's like you left click to do light attack, right click to block or something. Is there an engaged
that's what I was going to ask.
Hand-to-hand combat? Like, because that is really interesting to me.
It's not like a chivalry style combat. It's just like it's an attack and a block, and then you've got your different abilities, and then there's a dodge mechanic as well.
Yeah, okay.
So
that's enough. It's more than just going up and going like right click on that enemy because I want to engage in combat with that enemy and it
totally.
plays out.
And then you're basically just hitting macros or whatever. It's really cool. So I use the dodge a lot. I've mapped everything to my mouse because I'm still Gumby with my left hand, but it's cool to be able to then the first thing I'll do is I'll target the enemy with my fire staff with a big kind of pillar of fire that does a bunch of damage at the start, and then I'll get a few range shots off with my staff, and then I switch to my axe, and then I switch to like blocking and axe combat, and then I have a few axe abilities that I can do that are more sort of AoE attacks and stuff. Which
I guess when I was comparing it to Guild Wars, I'm trying to remember, Pete. It was like it by no means was dynamic and connected like the battles, but I remember it being that was what drew me in. It was a little bit more AoE, get it like proxy and all that kind of stuff. But this is obviously a lot more.
It wasn't like 3 layers, 15 wide of different abilities you could be casting.
Numbers pinging, even though you were actually miles away, or like not miles, but
totally.
All that stuff.
It feels much more like you're in it, which is what I think has been the barrier for me with other MMOs, where I feel like I'm so disconnected from what's happening. But I think too, what's cool is that you just see everyone kind of getting comfortable with different weapon sets and stuff. So some people use muskets and hatchet as well, which you can kind of throw, and it looks really cool.
The best weapon.
The coolest weapon in the world scientifically.
Well, everyone seems to really enjoy it. Like, yeah, it's really cool. And watching people kind of like sort of spec out those different sort of weapons and abilities and stuff is really fun when you're out in the field and you see different people using stuff.
Speaking about being out in the field, what happens if you as a purple person, I don't know these factions yet, wander off into Yellow's faction or Red, their area on the map? Are you instantly like going to be attacked or?
No, it's still fine. It just means that I don't have like perks in that area to like for crafting and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay.
And I imagine that if I had PvP enabled, then faction people would probably want to have a go for sure.
Yeah, right.
I just saw you dodge backwards. Is that like a cooldown or is that a stamina based thing?
It's a stamina-based thing.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. So there's health and stamina, like,
That's cool.
in some other kind of games that you would have experienced. Yeah. And
Jesus, had a speed through his head.
yeah, the only issue at the moment is that there is one Australian server, which is great that we have one at all. But the queues to get in are heinous. Like,
Ridiculous. I saw your stream. My God.
Okay, I had a bad experience because my game files were corrupted, so I actually got into the queue and kept getting booted, and I didn't realize until the third time I tried that it was because I had to verify my files and fix them. But still, if you get in before midday, you're okay. But after midday, it just goes up and up and up. And if you're kind of getting home after work and you want to jump on, you're looking at an hour plus.
I think I saw Shad in chat has just gotten home and queued up, and it's 90-minute wait time at the moment.
Yeah, wow.
Which is the kind of thing, I mean,
it's time to order your groceries.
The wait time is also not accurate too. I think they've given them a max 30-minute wait time as a counter. So it'll say 30 minutes, but you'll be waiting for an hour and a half, which is even more annoying because it's like it gets your hopes up.
All? That's terrible.
Yeah,
you can't leave the house to go up. I mean, we can't leave the house anyway, so you're just sitting there watching that timeline and timer anyway.
Yeah. You just want to have something else to do.
You know, this is the case with every MMO and a lot of big multiplayer online things, even like Diablos. So, people are used to it, but it's also like we're at the point where it's like, come on. Every time this happens, it's like, but it's 20
people that can have enough servers online.
It's 2020.
Amazon?
Yeah, I know. It's like Amazon apparently have 3 servers in Oz for this, but it's still like, just throw another 3 in.
Seriously.
Though, to be fair, it is also a beta, so it's
of course,
hopefully at launch, then that's different. But those are rough wait times.
Part of betas are working out how big the population is going to be, and it's going to be bigger on launch day than even this beta. So,
is it worth mentioning, Nick, what you told me earlier today about this game? What it's been doing bug wise?
Well, yeah, did you see
bricking
the game's
3090s
been bricking 3090s, which just seems.
I was so confused by that, but I don't think that's like. The game can be blamed for that. I'm sure because it would be a driver issue,
That's a knock on Nvidia's door, not Amazon.
Yeah. But it's still something in the game is triggering that thing in Nvidia that's triggering that, which just
I'm not
is
having
like
to get the game. I just
the worst thing
scary.
to break.
That had happened. I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah, I just was so confused by it. I was like, I didn't think that was possible, but enough people have reported it happening that it's clearly a thing. So play at your own risk, I guess, if you have a 3090.
After you finally get in after 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
There's the only other thing I'll say that these are just dumb things is that for me, like I will not play an MMO if you cannot hide your helmet. Like you want to be able to wear your helmet but hide it so that you get the stats, but you don't have to like have your head covered all the time. And they have that, which is I'm very grateful for. And I don't know, I guess I was kind of disappointed. I respect not having classes because I love the freedom of everything, but I'm kind of bummed that there weren't different races to play. Maybe they can introduce those down the track, but it's kind of for a fantasy game, it's kind of a bit lame that we're all just humans.
And so far, the only enemies you've run into have been humanoid style zombies and things of that nature.
That's right. Yeah, there's people that have been affected by whatever brought us here and have not come back in a good way. And so that's kind of like zombie enemies. And then you're kind of killing like animals and creatures and stuff and learning how to do all your crafting and that kind of jazz. Yeah.
Just while we're still close to that GPU thing, some info from chat saying that apparently it's affecting a broader array of GPUs than just the like high-end NVIDIA cards now. AMD is also seeing some trouble. And the problem that Shad points out was that the so it is Amazon's fault. The problem is that on the menu, the frame rate isn't limited. So it maxes out the cards sitting on menus so that whenever you're sitting in a menu, the GPU is running at 100% capacity and
menus could be,
and you've gone to a menu because you've walked away.
Oh, God. Or you're waiting to get into the fucking queue. Wow.
Yep.
Oh, that's not good. Oh my God,
Holy
that's
shit. That's terrible. Wow, so it is the game's fault.
Pete, but I'm about to talk about my game. Don't bring up the footage yet.
Yeah.
But if you want a game that is not bricking 3090s, but is an MMO and does let you hide your helm, but that is where the similarities end. Let me talk to you about a game called Final Fantasy 14. And before you bring up the footage, Pete, because we'll start with the little clip that Will's edited for me, because I'm really keen to check out New World. And the and obviously the beta's running. I know that the beta progress doesn't carry over to the new one, so I didn't want to jump in and sort of do that because I was like, it will feel like wasted time to me.
Fair.
I worry about Amazon's commitment to supporting the game, which you need with an MMO. And I've played MMOs that have stopped being MMOs, and it's really sad. And I've played a lot of MMOs. I really like it as a genre.
Can I ask why you would think they would stop supporting it? There's already microtransactions in the game. They're going to get money out of people from this for sure.
It's if it doesn't have a shelf life. Like, I don't think they'll drop it like in 3 months' time, but they have cancelled everything else and
before release. In some instances,
cancelled before release. Yeah,
and so it's just about whether or not, and on top of that, it's also like whether or not the game is actually good. Like the early parts are good, and I'm so enthused by everything that's there, so I'm really keen to check it out. But in terms of like what the end game is, what the post-launch expansion stuff is, like, yeah. So I'm just I'll start playing it when it comes out.
Also,
for sure.
I would argue just quickly as well, I reckon the start of any MMO, even if it's the shittest thing, is always kind of wonderful versus playing a traditional linear game. It's like walking into an area, apart from obviously like you saw in your footage, having everyone like just
but that's part of the beauty of it.
But I agree, that is kind of half the fun. And so
totally.
I'm what you're saying, Nick, is the idea of people getting past that honeymoon phase with it and going, there's not much beyond these, but or something.
But I have been having an MMO. I have been having an MMO itch, and all I hear about, and this is a perfect example of a game that sucked on launch, and since then everyone who plays it is like, it's so good, you have to play it. Final Fantasy 14. I've been thinking about playing it for so long. I've resisted for so long. I downloaded it yesterday. I bought it. I'm playing it. I'm actually really enjoying my time, even though I'm really early. But I want to start by introducing my character, because it's the most fucking Final Fantasy 14 or Final Fantasy thing ever. Pete, can you play the clip that Will put together for me?
Here it is.
As the twin faces of Nold Thal maintain their vigil over all that has been and shall be, the present proffers a brave soul.
Yeah, that ass.
Yeah. Is this you, Nick? This is your character?
Yeah, well, good horns.
The horns.
That brass.
That's awoken something.
Oh my god.
So this is Gobloblor Valentine.
As the twin...
Job.
Named so because when I played WoW, one of my alts, I was watching an episode of Arrested Development at the time I made it, and it was the episode with Gobloblor, Attorney at Law, and so I made a goblin priest, and he was Gobloblor, Attorney of the Lord. And so this is Gobloblor Valentine. So that is the default outfit that you start this character with. You cannot remove the G-string. Like, I made her face look like that.
Lols.
No. I made her face look like that. I tried to make it, but the characters. But she walks around wearing a G-string for the first 10 levels. So you just have to deal with that. But this game is the most MMO game imaginable.
Yeah.
I am still very early, and I've only played sort of like 6 hours or so. But the reason that I want this, I want that MMO itch. Same as you, Steph, that thing of going, I love what this has is you can just, by changing the job that your character has, that changes the class. So you can train up in any job, and the jobs are like gladiator, which becomes like tank rolls and all that sort of thing. It's just the class, but you can be all classes at once. You can level them all up, and then you can just hot swap between them. And so you don't really need alts unless you can't afford money-wise the amount of gear in-game that you need to buy, like with the in-game currencies and stuff. So yeah, that idea of like only leveling up one character and then being able to like branch off and try different things. The story I hear goes amazing places, and I'm really excited to see that. You do apparently need to power through the first part of the game, which is like the base game. So that is what I'm doing. You can also, but I do know that you can just level mainly just the main quest and focus on that, and that's entirely it. What you're watching now is me playing in widescreen, ultra wide on my computer, which is a real breath of fresh air because it's a very crowded UI and there's a lot going on. Pete, can you bring up the picture that I want to scare Gus with, which is I downloaded it on PS5, and this is what happened to me in like the first 4 minutes of the game.
Fuck off.
What are we even
Those
looking at?
D-pad and L1 and L2 Oh!
Yeah, so the way that the game... So I've got it on
There's
PlayStation
text on the
and
text at the bottom.
Yeah.
it's just awful. I've got it on PlayStation and I've got it on PC. I started on PlayStation because I heard that the way you can control it with a controller is really good, and it is actually a really elegant way of implementing all the shit. And then you go to this, and I'm like, okay, I don't think I can ever play the PS5 version again, unless it is for like I'm just out collecting herbs or something.
Totally.
But yes, very early in this, I'm going to see how I go, but I have really been enjoying it. And I know there's a ton of Pocketeers out there who have been playing or want to play the game. And I would like to organize some Discord situation where we can talk about it and learn about it together. If you haven't already, you can download the base version with a free trial, and that takes you all the way through the base game and the first expansion, I think. You can get to all the way to level 60 for free with an unlimited amount of play. So
You get pants by that stage?
yeah, I finally got pants. I finally got a robe, and I was so excited
Not even a pants.
because
It's just a robe. Just like
just something,
Put this
just
on.
a towel.
Not in
God's
this
sakes.
clip. Not in this clip.
Not in this clip. No, it happened after this. So that is what I am playing. I will report more as I get further in. But when New World comes out, I'll definitely be jumping in that as well. The other thing that I played this week, which has been on my list to play for ages, never got around to it, and then the PS5 update for it came out last week before, and that is A Plague Tale: Innocence. And
I would say, whoa, that's so old, except you're playing a game from 2010.
totally, yeah. All I do is play old games now. And the so I had heard really good things about this game, and like I said, have been meaning to check it out. Downloaded it, and I really thought I downloaded it like I'll play an hour of this, and then I'll just kind of know what's going on, and I can talk about it on the show. And I will have dipped a toe in Plague Tale. And I adore this game so much. I finished it in 2 nights. It's so special. It is so beautiful. It runs really well on PS5. Like it looks gorgeous. It loads super fast. It's great. But it is who's played it? Gus, you played it?
Yep.
Steph,
I did
have you?
not. I haven't finished it, but I played it. Yeah, I played
No
a few.
spoilers.
I would say like a few hours of it. Yeah.
And Pete, have you played it?
I haven't touched it at all.
Gus, I don't know what you thought about it.
I won't. I'll let you keep going with yours. I really enjoyed it from memory. I finished it. I think I didn't find. I finished it reasonably quickly too. I think I just pushed through it because I enjoyed how structured and straightforward it was in terms of the story. There wasn't too much fat. Given there were a couple of bits where you take control of just the little boy that I found a bit plotting, but yeah, mechanically it was really great. Story wise, it was really different, and it ran really well on. I ran on PC, I think. Yeah.
I always really enjoy games where you have control of 2 characters that have very different capabilities, and that the game is a good way of
even just their
implementing those 2 things. I like that, and then the fact that you're looking after this little boy is like then you're fully emotionally invested in making sure that nothing bad happens to him. So.
I was so I couldn't help but see my kids in these kids, so
course,
I think that added like a whole other level of me just like loving this so much. I thought that the voice act, you could see the budget around it. Like the voice acting isn't the greatest in some of the it is very linear, but I really like linear games when they're done well, and I think it is done well.
Yeah, that was I think what I remembered greatly from this. It's like I never got stuck being like, where do I go now? And bad game design. It was always kind of fairly focused.
Yeah. But the story was so beautiful for me. It was a world that I hadn't really seen. Like the whole rat thing is amazing. Like the way that they are terrifying. It's something that I hadn't really seen in games. The way that you deal with the enemies, where they're always around you, and it's less. I mean, it is a stealth game, but the stealth comes not only from hiding from people, but hiding from rats isn't quite the right way, but like you're always in the middle of rats and you need to figure your way out through that scenario using light because they're terrified of light. And the it also just goes places, and it's fucking dark. It is so dark, and it reminded me of The Last of Us, and I actually think I enjoyed this more than The Last of Us, even though The Last of Us on most ways is a better game in terms of like technically, the acting is better, the capture is better, and everything. It felt like the world that this has presented, this like rat infested plague scenario, was dark and awful, but it was dark and awful. Like that's it, and obviously it's very heightened because there is magic in this. But my thing with The Last of Us was it always felt like it is just constantly throwing things at you to make you feel like shit. Whereas it felt like these kids are going through a world that is shit, and so therefore I felt more like the game is not trying to manipulate me in this scenario. This is actually just how awful this world is. Whereas a lot of the time in The Last of Us, I'm like, oh my God, how many times do I have to watch like this person get beaten to death or something? So, the
fact that there's no reprise for these two characters because they exist in this time period, you're like, it just must be terrible for them, even when things are good. It's just like, they live in the dark ages, and I agree. It was that idea of just like constantly feeling like kids in this disgusting adult world.
Totally, and like a really uncaring world about them.
And it's an angle I definitely hadn't seen played in a game before, and that was what was kind of driving. And as Steph was saying, it's like it's cool to have these perspectives, or just even the control methods of having these. Oh my God, I'm just seeing the rats again and remembering. and even where it goes, I would say later game without spoilers, it's like it does have to up the stakes by kind of changing how things are played, and even I would say
I remember this.
It goes from being quite linear to there's almost a bit of a hub later on that you return to and some stuff like that. But it's really, I found it was welcomed at that stage because the game had done linear levels for a while. So it was like, I enjoyed that it changed things up a little bit as you went on. And it finishes, from memory, right when it started to be like, okay, I've seen everything.
It doesn't outstay its welcome. And it does have the thing of, and without spoiling anything, it goes, okay, you've had these mechanics for 3/4 of the game, and now you've got new mechanics, or additional mechanics, I suppose. And the progression of that is really great and feels... It takes something that I think is really difficult to do in games of it empowers you in a different way in late game from I don't want to spoil anything. Anyway, it's great. It's just really good. It's on Game Pass, and it's also the free, like the PS5 version is the free PS Plus game this month, so most people probably have access to it. And it also made me so excited for the sequel, because it also feels like one of those games that it was a smaller budget, a smaller team. It was an ambitious idea that they did really well, but there's definitely rough edges. And the sequel could really... It's like The Witcher. It's not like The Witcher.
Yeah, like Senua's Sacrifice was very similar, where it was just like it had a really great idea and was an incredible game. But I would say it was still kind of it was a smaller budget game that was quite rough, and the combat was like a bit
very
blah.
Ambitious,
but it had such an incredible sort of through line that people were like, "This is amazing." And now the sequel to that is going to be like.
And because of that, I finished this game and I was like, oh God, I'm so excited for the sequel. It's so funny. I reckon the sequel will be great because of the things I just said. And I sat there and I went, it's just like Senua's Sacrifice. And then I went, I haven't played Senua's Sacrifice. Oh my God, it's on Game Pass. I downloaded it and I started playing it last night. And I played the first 30 minutes of that game. And the first 20 minutes, I'm in ultra wide. I've turned off all the lights and there's all these voices here and I'm on the little boat.
An epic intro.
And it's 1 a.m. And I'm I don't think I could do this by myself at this time of night in the mental state that I already am in.
A good surround sound headset for that one, because the sound design in that game is so affecting. It feels like the voices are in your head.
For this
awesome.
one as well, you've got the sounds like the rats are everywhere and you're like, oh God.
Yeah.
The only thing I'd be concerned about with the sequel coming to this, and I want to play this as well because there's a sequel coming, so obviously it's it's got enough critical and enough of an audience for them to consider doing that, is that have they just burned the idea? I don't think it's going to be fun to play through a second game of holding torches out at rats.
Yeah.
I think you need to play the game because I don't want to spoil the game. But
you kill
I think
all
that
rats at the end of the first game.
There is definitely scope, at least mechanically, to advance what they've done.
Yeah, so it's story-wise, sure, there could be, but mechanically, this feels like it's a bit of a hold back. The flood is the excitement of the game, and it's is that going to be exciting on a second pass?
I think there's definitely a power change shift near the end, and that because there's going to be a progression in time and age with the characters, I think that's going to step it up.
Totally.
I guess a little Last of Us 2
become
in
the
the
rat,
same kind of
don't
way. You become a rat.
You just play as a rat, yeah.
Yeah, good.
But yes, I think Last of Us 2 is a really good example of going, like, the trailer for the sequel has shown that they are older. And yeah, but Pete, definitely play this. I recommend everyone plays this. It's also just one of those games where you go, if you missed it, it's so exciting finding a game that you've just known about for ages, and then you play it and you go, oh my God, this is fucking amazing.
And it's like a good weekend game.
I fell in love. It totally is. And I just fell in love with these characters. I fell in love with this game. So, like, I cannot recommend it enough. And,
Missed opportunity
and the best
to
part
call
is
it, spell it Plague's Tale with IL, but, you know, that's on there.
There you go. The best part of it as well is that neither of these characters started in G strings. So I don't know what's going to happen in the sequel, but that's...
Fingers crossed.
What we're seeing right now as well, Nick, I wanted to quickly mention this farm bit, not a spoiler. This was the bit that traumatized me the most. The whole level that takes place at a farm. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. It's so good. I would almost play it again. I just enjoyed it so much. Okay. Peter, what have you been playing?
We're going to go to Gus.
Gus, what have you been playing?
Burning content. I have played far lighter, far happier, far cheerier game. I checked out the Skyward Sword Switch release that came out last week, and dive back into this game. A game I played, I feel like 90% of, and never quite finished on the Wii originally.
Oh my God, really?
I played it back in the day when I think I first moved to Sydney, and I was like starting a good game, and we had a copy, and I was like trying to get my hands on it to play it. And from memory, there is a bit of padding right at the end of that, which is a reason this game copped some flack.
At the end?
It does a bit of late game padding. I loved this game when I played it originally. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it deserved all the praise it got. I didn't realize that it was quite polarizing. I always put it in the camp of like Zelda games that was just like really, just lent so hard into being a Zelda game. You know, like the maps, the noises, the dungeons, the everything like that. And I liked everything it was doing that was new. All this stuff I really appreciated. It's weird playing it now after playing Breath of the Wild, which is just so transformative in terms of how you can do a Zelda game or just any kind of like open world adventure. And everything that is slightly more linear and is just really claustrophobic now in this game. It doesn't feel big and expansive for a game that's set, you know, with an open sky and everything. But
is your name Groose in this game?
My name's Goose, and there's a character called Groose, which is like a fan favorite character. He's like this, very larger than life, chest puffing rival at the school with this like pompadour hairdo and stuff.
I
He's become a
played
cult
this
favorite
when it came out, but I don't remember anything. Besides not liking it.
It's been long enough that I feel like I'm going to persist playing it because I don't remember much of it, but I remember liking it. Playing on the Switch, it's had some quality of life improvements, which people have been talking a lot about. First and foremost is that it's had an up-res, obviously, to 1080, and it runs at 60 FPS, and I think it looks great because it just makes all these character animations, well, not the animations, but the character design and the world design just looks super, super, super crisp, both in handheld and on the TV. A lot of the textures do now stick out, though, and look pretty ugly. Like, you see a lot of repeated textures. And you even see that one later on where you go down to the ground and all the trees are like a crisscross of two trees like that. If you look at above, does that make sense? Like,
sure.
When you walk around them, they're just like, two cardboard
it's pieces of
trees.
paper.
Yeah, right.
Like,
I know what you
So there's some glaring graphical.
That guy's eyes.
You've seen things, man. But
he looks like a me character. Those are me eyes.
They are. One of the sad things, though, that they have lost is there was like this kind of perspective thing in the original on the Wii that made everything kind of look oil paintery the further it got away. Or probably watercolor, I would say, is probably the better description. That's gone. And so now the things that are really sharp, really far away, you can see them and you're like, oh, that looked nicer when it was slightly out of focus. There's some just massive old school game elements to it as well, but it does just running super smooth. I don't think any Zelda games run at 60 FPS, so it is really nice. The other huge change is obviously this was done on the Wii, and it was a huge champion for the motion controls, be it with the sword and also flying the your Loftwing, your bird. And they've ported it across so you can play with the Joy-Cons pretty much the same way you would have with the Wiimote and the Nunchuck. But they've also made it so you can play it in handheld or with a Pro Controller, where they've mapped all the sword movements to the thumbstick. So you basically flick the thumbstick up, down, left, or right to control your sword in that direction. But what that does is your right thumbstick is often or is always practically your camera in a third-person game. So to move your camera, you need to hold a bump to swing it around, which is like trying to relearn English or something. Which
you would think they do the opposite. It's like,
Yeah, that's
okay,
what I was
in
gonna say.
combat, and now I'll hold the left bumper and swing with
I
the.
wonder if that's an option, because that is definitely how I would probably prefer to play it, because I've been basically switching back and forth between the two. Also flying the loft wing with the motion controls, you use them like tilting and flicking to try and fly around. I've switched back and forth, and I'm here to definitively tell you that the best controller method, I'm still not sure. I'm still literally going like, I
Is
can't
to
tell.
not
How
play the
to
video
play.
It's probably not to like. People have been saying it's been done really well. I would say it's done very, very well to okay in terms of mapping it, because I want to play it with a pro controller. That's how I want to play this, and it's still breaking my brain from time to time. And I feel like whatever I train myself to get good at doing this, it's gonna ruin another game for me. So
So you can still do full motion control with Joy-Cons, though, right?
yeah, which is
okay.
and like the sword control in that is better than it was with the nunchuck, because it's the gyro in it is better, but you are still using little Joy-Cons, and that's not a great way to play it. And I couldn't seem to fly my loft wing; it just kept plummeting down. Maybe I messed something up, but that said, the other improvements they've done, which were like greatly asked for, which was they've taken Fee, who is the name of your sword, who's kind of your like your Navi, who she was like really, she interrupted you constantly in this, and I remember even being super bugged by it. They've streamlined that so she interrupts less. She's skippable. All the cutscenes are skippable. They've made the start of it like a little faster that you can speed through text. So some of those things, which sound like just skipping, but I'm sure a lot of people have played it before, so that would be the stuff that becomes really laborious. They've managed to make that far less painful. And again, it's a game that's far enough away that I want to keep playing it, but it has shown its age, I guess, in design wise, especially having Breath of the Wild out. So I wonder how far I'll get through it. I want to tick it off my list of games that I finished. And again, I feel like I got so close to the end, and I don't know what it was that why I didn't finish it. And maybe that'll become apparent when I sink another 20 hours into it. But there are some great.
I hear that the last dungeon and stuff is the best part of the entire game. Like
there is a return.
Very end of the game is like the pinnacle of the game.
Oh god, okay, maybe I definitely missed that one. But there is a return to a constant fight. I think it's called like there's a big black creature that you keep coming back to like the whole way through the game and keep doing the same boss battle, and everyone just got really, really pissed off at that, and it was each time became a point to almost put the game down and say, I'm done here. So that was a problem that they had in the original that is still in this one. So I think like I'll see what that's like, but it's just I'm enjoying going back to a game that I've almost fully forgotten, and that I remember heaping a heap of praise on when I did play it the first time. So
aside from the animations look a bit like, there's not a lot of frames of animation. The art looks really good. It's nice that it's 60 frames a second. Like it totally looks like a great game to have on the Switch.
Yeah.
And I've never played it, so I'm really intrigued. Like I think the controls is the thing that's scaring me.
Yeah,
I look at this and I'm like, this doesn't look fun. Look like hitting things behind you by accident and shit. Like that's going to annoy me in a boss fight that is maybe repetitive and challenging, that I just keep fucking hitting the wrong button because
let
of the
alone in
controls.
this moment where you're just trying to like cut some ropes.
Precision cut the
Well, the thing is, every enemy that you fight generally turns into... The thing I remember being great on the Wii version was that, every enemy has like a little sword puzzle where they hold up, down, left, and right. It's like baby's first chivalry. And that was a great feeling, because it was like there was a progressive chords every time you got a hit. So it's like, da-dunk, 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 and then you'd kill them. There were all these really munchable kind of like Zelda-esque things that it did that I remember really enjoying. And it's like the last Zelda game that gets to do all that, because now every version has to be this super pared back minimalist experience, which I love. But in terms of how video gamey it can be, this one was like really lent hard into it. I love the music in it. The music is amazing, especially if you go and check out the idea that they just reversed the main Zelda theme to make the theme from Skyward Sword. Just little moments like that I love. And so
nice.
I haven't tried it in handheld yet. So maybe I looked at it in handheld, but I haven't played it solidly in that. So maybe I'll just see if there's a reason to get through it, is that I might have it on my next to my bed or something like that as a way to keep plugging on. I just don't want to keep making that joke.
I just could not stick with this game when it came out. I've never been the Zelda guy, so I think that's part of it.
You don't like to waggle?
I didn't like the motion controls. It was so slow. It explained everything over and over and over again. Like, I just remember like the first 10 hours of just going like, oh my God, like shut the fuck up. How am I still having tutorials about the fact that like I just picked up a rupee? Like, I don't understand why every time I quit the game and come back, it's like you've forgotten literally everything about this video game. Now we're going to play all those tutorials for you again. It's like, and that's like Nintendo just get in their own way and in their own way so much with that stuff. And yeah. I'm glad you're giving it another red hot go though.
I do plan to try and finish it as well. And I remember trying to finish it back in the day when I first played it. I was rushing, and so I didn't check out much of the other islands and stuff. So even though it's pretty minimal in terms of like there's not a huge fleshed out town and all this kind of fun stuff, I do want to go on side quests a little bit as well. And and tick it off my list finally. So cool. It's not a bad port. And if you never played it, I guess it's the best way to play it. So yeah. And
cool.
then the
anything else?
Game I checked out was a side-scroller retro-y shoot 'em up called Mighty Goose, appropriately titled, which was a little indie shooter that came out, which is very cute. It is essentially a Metal Slug game, if you've ever played any of that series, which was that like really frantic shooter where you would like play those little soldiers running through. I remember always seeing Metal Slug at the arcade and wanting to play it, and it would just chew up my coins. But it is a very charming but very chaotic shooter, as is the nature of that kind of game. It has some minor Metroid-y kind of elements to it in terms of this first level in particular, but also their levels do have some objectives and things like that. It is not just literally go left to right and kill everything, but there is a lot of killing involved. Right now you're seeing the calm before the storm of when a battle breaks out. Stylistically and story-wise, it is just bonkers. It is like I'm spamming Y here to just honk, even though it doesn't do anything. I've got a sidekick of a little duck who is called, I think, like Your Mighty Goose, and he's called like Adequate Duck. And then all the characters in the game are like the person giving you radio commands is like a bunny rabbit. They're all animals. They're all anthropomorphized animals in this kind of crazy super sci-fi actiony game. And then again, when you see it, you'll see what I'm talking about. But like if we skim just a little bit further ahead to like an actual big fight that you're in, it is just this like very, very satisfying mix of just like sound effects of screaming. Like every time you pick up a gun, it's like machine gun, shotgun, go forward, all this kind of stuff.
That's so cool.
It is arcade to the max,
see what we hear.
almost to its detriment, I will say. Like, I love the chaos of it all. And again, this is even a calm battle right now by all standards. But as it goes later on, there are boss battles and stuff later that are just like, there's no way anyone could work out what's going on. So it's like, in
terms of like the amount of things on screen? Or?
Again, maybe if you just like, if we see a bit later on, it does get super claustrophobic.
This is the end of your clip.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. But yeah, there are moments where it is claustrophobic in the sense that there's just not a lot of real estate on the screen. And so once you do, you're like supercharged and you might have a cool weapon. You've got a meter basically that you can build up, which I've just activated now, which makes my head turn on fire, I think. Oh, no, maybe it wasn't that time. But your weapons become super powerful. You become invincible. It gets to a point though. There were some boss battles where I'm like, I can't physically see what is happening. How am I meant to know what to do? But I think that's
also
some
you seem
of the
to be
joy.
off screen for half of it.
It is a small screen. You get hits off screen, that kind of thing as well. Kind of some of the complaints I had about it's like Space Jam the other week. It's like it is so. I'm playing on a big monitor and it is just so
really
tiny.
tight.
It's so tight, and again, enemies will come on from the side of the screen and they'll hit you before you even have a chance. Maybe my clips are a little punched in. That might be the problem. That could be on me for exporting it, but this is about as like hectic as it feels. that might be on me, but like this is pretty much like sums up just how mental it is. Apart from that, like it's really satisfying in a kind of like video game arcadey sense as a throwback. I'm like 6 stages in. The boss battles themselves are really creative, but again, the boss battles are the ones where it's like you will fail 6 times before you finally work out the pattern, and whether or not you find that kind of loop satisfying or very frustrating, I think that'll depend on player to player. But yeah, it's super.
I like that geese are getting their moment in video games as the plucky attitude creatures that they are. I also like that after Untitled Goose Game, the idea of the goose became a symbol of like rising up against the system.
Yeah,
definitely.
totally.
The developers going like, this is geese are in at the moment.
rebels.
People at protests had geese on signs and stuff like that, being like,
it used to
stick
be
it to the man.
It used to be the rattlesnake. Now it's
There's
the goose.
a cute. There's a cool upgrade system. There's a cute little story going on at the same time. There's an actual story going on. You're a bounty hunter. There's some cool cinematics where they've done like what they can with the limited like that kind of like full frame hand pixel drawn kind of like characters doing cool anime like big explosions and stuff like that. So it's super polished. And again, if you just like chewed up heaps of coins in the arcade playing those kind of games, this is great. It's really forgiving also, I should say, in like when you do die, you only get set back a little bit. There's not limited lives from what I could tell. There's one difficulty setting. It seemed like it was made for you to like persist through all the kind of like chaos of the game and not get overly frustrated. But I still had my moments. But
awesome.
It's super cute.
Well, speaking of fighting animals, Peter Burns.
The best kind of animal fight is a Pokemon fight. And Pokemon Unite came out, and it's fucking great.
Is it?
Yeah. Pokemon Unite is it's like a MOBA light. It is plenty of the Pocketeers have been playing it, and we played together as well. It is 5v5, a 2-lane with a kind of central jungle MOBA setup. And rather than it being objective based, which is where MOBAs kind of blow out in time, is like who's going to become powerful enough to take the objectives. This is timer based. It's 10 minutes for a standard.
Oh my god,
game.
it's so good.
10-minute clock, and it's over. And the objective is to go and farm jungle creeps, which are other Pokemon in this instance, and you get basically the stronger the creep, the more tokens they're worth. You collect those tokens, and then you need to dunk them on the enemy towers, and in this instance, they're hoops. So here, like right at the start of the game, running down the bottom lane, killing some little monkey boys, and collecting their orbs. And so,
and that's a hoop. That's your team's hoop.
That's our team's hoop. Being in our team's hoop, lots of very familiar MOBA stuff. Being in your tower gives you a defense bonus. There's health things that spawn behind your hoops, which you can go and collect. And then, basically you're working 2 per lane plus a mid kind of jungler who is a roaming ganker. And we're working here together to get 5 orbs from this heavier dude. And the person that gets the last hit collects those. And the thing that makes it really simple to play on the Switch is that you only ever get 2 abilities and an ulti. So you can do normal attacks when they're in your range.
That's passive?
That's just spam your attack.
Oh, okay. You are controlling.
You still are activating the attack, but it's just if you're in range, you can do an attack. And there's different ranges on different classes because some of them are melee, some of them have more of a ranged kind of setup. And then you get... I know this. I think I'll die here. Oh no, got out. Eat that. Yeah. So what they're doing there, they just dumped some goals.
Let's playing his own, reacting to his own gameplay.
It's really, really brilliant in how it's like refined a bunch of really like hardcore MOBA team combat ideas into this really simple idea. And I think like potentially could be part of what makes it maybe it'll like you'll lose interest in it a bit quicker. I don't really understand the meta at the moment. Some things feel really OP, some things don't, but I'm still kind of learning all of how all the characters play and interact. The way you level up is that, there's obviously the beautiful, easy thing to put into a Pokemon game of evolution. You start as the lower version of the Pokemon, and as you level up, you just get bigger. And again, back to the abilities, you've got 2 ability slots, and you can then choose at different levels if you want to go left or right with that ability. Maybe you want to go to be a more agility-based, kind of movement-based version of that ability, or a higher damage version of that ability. And so they're the only decisions that you make on the fly is you
It's
go
like,
like
it's like the Dota thing where they implemented that like
Talent
pick your
tree.
talent tree thing.
Yeah,
Which is
totally.
the best.
yeah,
And that,
it's really cool.
that from memory, and because I haven't played much Nick, like that kind of picks things for you, and it's like, hey, is that sort of
Well,
loop?
it
I
It doesn't
like
pick
it.
things for you. It's you just get to make a decision about how you're building your character.
So it's
in
like,
Dota,
do you get more gold or do you have a faster cooldown? It's like, and you go, well, I want this one because the way that this game is going, I need to buy higher cost items, so I'm going to take the more gold thing.
yeah. And in Dota, it's quite molecular, and in this, it's more about how you want to engage with the game.
And are they skill shots or is it
A lot of things are skill shots. I was
Yeah, right.
surprised to find out. Nearly every ability is a skill shot. The ones that feel a bit more OP are the ones with more AOE style interactions. Like there's a character that's a legendary from one of the games. I don't even know what it is, but everyone got given it if you started playing on day one, or I think the first week. And it's kind of like you just pop this electrical bullcrap around you, and it's like really strong. Yeah, Nick, install it. And it's
I've already got it installed. So I've got it installed. I even have it sitting on played. I just didn't want to put any time into it if it would suck. So I have been desperately waiting for you to tell me that it was there. And in order to not quote unquote burn content, I didn't ask you at all over the last 24 hours what you think about the game.
Yes, sorry. There's still a lot to explain about. Let's start with how to win the game. You go to these lanes. You see this this hoop here had 80 stacks. Once you've dunked 80 points into it, it is destroyed, and you can more aggressively push into the enemy's lanes.
Yeah, right.
See the blue stuff that I just walked over? That gives me a speed boost, and it gives a debuff to the enemy team that walk on it. So, which is why it's unusual that they would push past that hoop before they've destroyed it. So now that, well, see, I'm walking slow here because I'm in their stuff. We just destroyed it, and suddenly that space is much easier to navigate.
Yeah, right.
So we're on kind of a big push here. There's a 5 stack. I think this is a game with all the Pocketeers in as well. Yeah, there's Vegabus.
Yeah, A. Timothy.
Timothy was in there. Phoenix O'Lion, and who else?
I
was
like
in this
this.
game?
I like
it
this
was-
dual thumbstick kind of attack,
Arcade Blob, I
directional
think.
attack thing. It looks really,
Blob. Yeah, it feels really good.
yeah.
There's
It
some.
looks
there's-
so good to play. I cannot believe that we're on a video game show in 2021, mid 2021, and we're talking
This is the
MOBAs
Pokemon
and
game.
MMOs. Like, I'm so excited this isn't a battle royale.
I'm going to install this straight after, because can I make a point? This is so much, like, one of the reasons I haven't gotten hugely into MOBAs is because I find watching them really, like, painful and not interesting. I can see through that, even unintentionally, through that dual thumbstick, like, sorry, one thumbstick, I guess, but you're moving with one and you're directing your
Aiming
attacks
your
with skill
attacks with
shots.
the other.
I can
Yep.
see what you're focusing on, and I follow it too, whereas you watch a MOBA, and it's just kind of like you're staring at this madness, trying to follow the action. At least I know that's how I feel about it. So that if it's easier for me to watch you play, then I can feel like it might be more satisfying for me to play myself as well.
I think it'll be pretty clear, and there's fewer abilities going on. I mean, obviously this is a bit of a mess, but in terms of like, I can imagine someone watching Dota and going like, seeing
By
a
MOBA
sequence of
standards,
play,
that was simple
and
to see.
what just happened. Whereas here, it's like it's pretty clear who's where. It's like really beautifully put together. It is.
And they're
I
explaining
saw
more
Dr.
because
Joe-
how's the communication? Because obviously Switch.
communication is like there's some like presets that you can ping across.
Can you ping like top, middle, bottom?
Yes,
Oh, like, sorry,
I'm traveling top. I'm going bot. Let's gank. That kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
There's heaps to it. I don't want to go. Like the game speaks for itself. I think if you've played MOBAs before, you pick it up really quickly and see the beauty of it. It's not going to replace Dota for you, but it is beautiful that you can play it in 10-minute chunks. I love it, love it, love it.
How is the tutorial?
It is
Sorry,
complete.
again, I know
The
you were explaining
tutorials. The tutorial's good because the game is simple. You spend about 15 minutes doing 2 tutorials. You do a basic tutorial and then a more advanced one.
Yep.
And it really sets you up for the game. Again, I was going in it with a lot of MOBA knowledge, so perhaps it's going to be a little less clear, but I think it does a pretty good job of explaining it. And unlike a lot of Nintendo games, doesn't just like become laborious in its tutorial. It's like it lets you go out and have fun pretty quickly as well.
I saw Dolphin Pen said, I thought Pokemon sucked, Nick. They do, but MOBAs are very fun, and the shorter the MOBA, the better.
Also, Pokemon as a series is like tailor-made for a MOBA in the sense
Totally.
that it's like you've got all these characters or Pokemon, and then as Pete mentioned, you've got different states of them all that, you know, even watching you play Dota or people play Dota, it's like this character transforms into a bigger version of it, where it's like, whereas it actually makes sense for Pokemon because you've got that in their lore.
There's not a lot of transforming in Dota.
Yeah.
Tiny is like the only hero. But anyway, the game is completely free. It's coming to mobile soon. It's entirely free on Switch. I was like, oh, but you'll have to pay for Nintendo Online. You do not have to pay for Nintendo Online.
Sorry?
You don't have to pay for Nintendo Online.
For this one game?
For this game. You can just play.
Holy shit.
Which is awesome. I was like, you must have to, but then I was like, but it's on mobile, so you think they wouldn't try and like lock part of their audience, a large part of their audience off to the Switch and this online mode. It's entirely free. It's awesome.
That's so crazy
it does feel like a trick.
That's so weird.
There's obviously the trade-off to that is that this game feels like a mobile game in that the main menu is 10 different menus of battle passes, daily challenges, just a whole bunch of things to tick off, which feels really fun at the moment, but is like, that's how they're going to make their money, right? Is they're going to sell cosmetics. There's a little bit of concern over whether this game is going to have some pay to win. I think there's going to be some pay to...
How so?
Pay to advance, and that is because you go into a battle... just let me hide the strap here. You see bottom middle, I've got a potion. That's an item with a 30-second cooldown that I've brought into the game because I, as my player profile, have earned that through a random drop or through the battle pass or whatever. And there's a bunch of different items like that. The thing that I think makes them reasonably safe is that you will get them by playing, just through like progression unlock, daily grinding, whatever.
It's whether or not you can totally up your
and you could buy them to get them early, but in terms of like the better versions of these things, because you can upgrade them as well, they're locked behind character, like your profile progression. So like you might not be able to use it until you're level 10, which means you've played X amount, which means, and that's how the ranking system works as well. The matchmaking system works, is that you get pitted up against people who have played a similar amount as you, and therefore will have the same kind of access to the same kinds of tools. So there's a little bit of like, yeah, you can give yourself a tiny advantage by buying the specific thing that you want rather than waiting for it to drop.
Yeah, right.
But
why not let you buy better looking avatars that are like the characters from the game? These are terrible.
they're pretty generic, but you do buy like the cosmetics that you can unlock through like game progression or through like spending real money are like you get a full new head of hair and you basically become like a kick-ass like cool character from the Pokemon anime series.
It looks so good.
Yeah,
it looks so good on this right now. So I'm doing the tutorial. Pikachu, which is obviously just like the most basic character, the way that it plays, like it feels really satisfying to attack. That is totally. Oh my god!
Even just getting a MOBA working well on a console, I think is
like the auto attack feels amazing.
And the trick has been to really pare everything back to be just a really simple 10-minute, only a few abilities experience, and I think it's really really cool.
I'm so
I won't talk about it
into
anymore.
this, Pete.
If you're going to be into it, you're into it.
I'm down as well.
Definitely. And if you have considered playing MOBAs before, this is a really cool entry into a lot of the ideas around how MOBAs work, and it's completely free if you own a Switch.
You knew how many times I'd considered picking up Dota again. I'm like, if I had it, it would just be this one game that I could play so much and enjoy. And I never do because I'm just kind of like, I see what it does to you. And then I'm kind of like, this could be the version of that I actually want to play. I'm really curious if chat, I'll look it up, if chat knows, like, you can play Fortnite on a Switch. Does that mean a Nintendo Online account too? Like, I'm so confused as to how these guys get a gimme with it though, because Fortnite's
Pokemon.
Free.
Well, because it's Pokemon. It's a Nintendo. It's Nintendo's flagship IP after Mario and Zelda.
I know, but just like that, they wouldn't use that to push their online subscriptions. I'm just baffled. Yeah, but cool.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Squirtle.
All right, Nick, put it down.
Yeah, I'm totally in love with it, and I'm going to talk a little bit about a different game now. But I'll be thinking about Pokemon the whole time.
Oh my god, I'm so excited about that. Great work, everybody. We did it.
So I played another thing for like 5 minutes today. I saw it on Twitter, and I was like, I need to check this thing out. It's called Low Light Combat, and the idea around it is that it's a very low light game. When you sprint, you shine your color, and when you shoot, you shine your color. I just shot a green dude and he exploded. And so basically you're kind of moving in the dark, listening for where people are until you see them and engage in the combat. If you sprint to get a tactical advantage by like where you're situated, you give away your position because you're a blur of, in my case, purple light streaking across the battlefield, which makes you very easy to spot. It's just a really... I only played, a short go of it. This map had, like... we're on a space station and whatever.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so there's sun for, like, half the map, and then it goes away. And, then I spotted someone immediately and got murdered as I killed someone else. So that, like, it's, like, very basic. It feels very Quakey. It's free to play on Steam. I don't know why. It's also on itch.io. It's obviously this very basic looking thing, but it feels really good. And like, I'm hoping it's part, like, it's not in early access. It's kind of out, but it feels like the thing that could get iterative updates if it gets an audience and people are interested in playing it. And it feels cool. It's definitely, if you're like into some like PC shooters, worth checking out. Low Light Combat is on Steam and itch.io. Download and play it. You've got a right click is like a snipe, and your left click is more like a shotgun blast. Yeah. So there's not a huge amount of ideas in it, but the core of it is really cool idea, interesting.
That's really
and then all of a sudden you're pitch black again. And it's like, all right, I'm listening out and trying to find someone. I only found a game with 2 other players in it, so it was like pretty, like, I was hunting most of the time.
That's the risk as well, is like a match could, in theory, get boring. Like a shooter is generally fun, but like if everyone is just crouch walking around in the dark for too long, I like the mechanic of the sun coming around. But the idea that it's like, well, where are you guys? It's just like no one got any kills this whole match. So
cool. Man, I love that death effect. It's so
Isn't it cool? Someone asked, is it one-shot kills? It is with the snipe. And sometimes one shot with the shotgun if you're close enough. So yeah, it's pretty much just like railgun, Quake in the dark.
It's cool when a shooter comes up with a fun idea. I remember just briefly there was a shooter called Morphe's Law where like the body parts you shot got bigger on you and smaller on them. Yes. And it was like a really clever idea as a spin, like you were saying with this one, but it wasn't good in execution and it didn't really take off as like something that could have been done as a mode in COD or something like that. But this seems like an interesting enough take on something I haven't seen in a shooter that it's like, do that in a COD map or something a bit more Halo, like take something cool out of that and try and move it into another more traditional shooter. But, all play that.
Or hope these guys have a lot of success with a cool idea.
They're doing that. They're doing that in 10.
Activision should take it, you're right.
It'll be in Fortnite. The money. It's going to come. It's coming to Fortnite.
Shit, it's coming to Fortnite. You're right. I'm sad inside.
Oh god.
Thanos clicks, the lights go out, and then everybody just fucking needs to listen.
That's my sex lights. Cool. Sorry.
Hey.
That is Low Light Combat. Okay. Oh, sorry, Steph.
I have one more thing to add that I forgot to mention about New World, and that is that you can buy property in the game, which is kind of crazy.
What happens if you buy property in an area that turns into the other factions?
Yeah, good question. Because you buy there's like a number of really beautiful houses.
The Israel-Palestine conflict all over
in each town, and I think I would imagine that they're instanced so that multiple people can own the one house, and that when you go into it, it's like you trick it out with your furniture.
What
and all that
if they
kind of
turn
stuff.
it into the Sweden of the neutral area, but everyone can live there in non-PvP, so it's just neighbors living next to each other, being like,
"Oh, I love that, like a commune." Yeah, a peaceful commune.
But when I see you out in the battle at our designated time, I will fuck you up.
All right, speaking of designated time, it is time now for a quick break so we can have a quick word from these quick sponsors.
following is a paid advertisement for the Reese Wild Music Collection.
Take the power of rock and a man who loves rocks. And you got yourself Reese Wild's Rock Songs, a collection of some of Reese's best rock songs. Oh, hi. I'm Stephanie from Steph and the Back Pockets. We've been rocking together since July 2020, but no one I know rocks harder than Reese. And now, all of Reese's best rock hits are together in one 82 CD collection, including such hits as Make Love Not Or, Lime After Lime, Chalk on the Wild Side, Wouldn't It Be Nice, Me and Dwayne Johnson, and 1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock Sandstone. Just 4 easy payments of $99.99, plus GST, plus taxes, plus customs, plus import fees, plus local taxes, and you'll have access to all of Reese's back catalog, including his breakthrough single, My Love Is Like a Rock Slide. We even cover his later years, when he was just phoning him in. Can you feel the love, granite? All about that bassonite. You're the one that I want to be fossilized in. Rock. Signed, sealed, delivered. I'm Quartz. I just called to say I love rocks. And who could forget Rock Lobster? I love rocks, and so does Reese. With a collection as timeless as a naturally occurring mass of solidified mineral matter, you'd have to have rocks in your head not to rush to the phone right now and order your very own copy of the Reese Wild Rock Music Collection. Because unlike a gemstone with a reciprocal of compressibility of 443 gigapascals, this deal won't last forever.
Smooth.
So good.
I think only Will and I had seen that. Only Will and I had seen that before now.
Was the implication done very cleverly?
Yeah.
Was that
It was a butt. It was a butt.
Oh my god, that was incredible.
You can.
Yes, you do.
With
You have a
lawnmower,
really
you
hairy butt.
And you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, you can. Oh, that was
Oh my
fucking
God.
gold.
You'd probably part the cheeks to get a more,
You would.
you know.
You would.
Steph,
Get in there.
you don't have enough hands for that job, and also you're in a.
Calcifer 909 said, "Are they okay with unsolicited adverts?" Calcifer clearly doesn't listen to the Back Podcast, where the Manscaped are a sponsor of the Back Podcast, and using the code POCKET is what Skiverick and I believe it's Linny Pie, Skiverick's partner, did to get 20% off and free shipping for a Manscaped product. And then not only that, the commitment to then make their own fucking commercial about
good.
Amazing.
Manscaped products.
Amazing.
Freak us out with a close-up of a butt, and then what a cheeky reveal there from Skiverick.
I know.
Absolutely,
And we're like,
Magnifique.
avoid the nipple, avoid the
I
nipple,
thought
avoid the
Steph's
nipple, and they
performance in
tactfully
Reese's-
avoided the nipple.
I thought Steph's performance in Reese's ad couldn't be beaten, but then that cheeky smile at the end of
Absolutely.
smooth.
It's true. I was outdone.
Manscaped are on board as the official sponsor of the Back Podcast for this month. They have launched in Australia. They've brought on the Lawnmower 3.0 trimmer. Features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents, a 90-minute battery, so Skiverick could have done take after take after take after take of that, and he would have been fine. He could have done it in the shower because it is a waterproof trimmer with an LED light, so Pete could play it while he's playing that weird shooter where you can only hear the testicles and you can't actually see them to trim.
Dark.
Yep. They've got a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet strike technology, and let's not forget about the charging stand, which is USB powered, so you can game and shave at exactly the same time. Get 20% off and free shipping using the code POCKET at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the code POCKET. Go to manscaped.com, use the code POCKET, show them that we have the best community who are willing to not only buy the product with the code, but make the commercials. Crikey, it is time to shave those balls. And speaking of making commercials, the debut there, obviously, of Reese Wild's commercial as well for the Reese Wild music rock. I can't remember exactly what
it's the Reese Wild Rock Music Collection.
Thank you very much.
That was an all hands on deck, that one.
It was.
we were saying that the shots in it almost don't look real because of we were able to get some just incredible shots of that
at Mount Victoria.
Out at Mount Victoria, where it was just a really beautiful misty day, and it's like that was what it looked like. It was amazing.
The process of putting that together, I think we talked about the idea, and then I put together the bones of the script, and then I was like, okay, we need rock song parody titles, and then it was just us sitting there going, like, all right, like, and then it was just this huge list. So good, so much fun to put together. An absolute joy to have Reese, obviously being one of the sponsors of the show, Top Stitcher. So thank you, Reese, for your patience in getting that commercial out. We are nearly at the end of the commercial run. I believe we only have, I think 3, but I'll need to double check. I think we only have 3 more to produce, and
which COVID has really put a spanner in.
Yeah, they're going to be a little more over the next couple of ones.
They're all going to have cliff shots in them from now on.
Totally.
Yeah,
well, we've got the next one that we're doing. We have a very good way of producing that one, and thankfully, the thing that it is parodying has an element of, I don't want to say shit, but let's say questionable
shittiness.
Quality. Yeah. Yep. So that will go a long way. But we will also be opening up that tier to get some more commercials in because they are some of the most fun things we make. I can't believe we put so much work into those. And I was thinking this last week. I was like, we could make really clickbaity videos that have the same amount of work put into them that would probably get us millions of views. And instead we make commercials for fake rock music CDs.
I like that you mentioned that the thing we're parodying as well. It's like, the next thing we're going to parody is actually really like kind of retrograde-y shitty. So it'll be really easy. I'm like, we've already done an old TV commercial for an action figure. We've done a very easily to parody film TV kids TV show. We're never going to make an ad that's going to be like, this is our Christopher Nolan ripoff or something.
Well, I think also it's because none of us really watch commercial TV anymore. We all live on the internet, so we can only parody ads from like days of yore.
Totally.
We all remember from our childhood,
Yeah. Although that's
every
the
ad was
Mason
from
Not Nathan
Neighbours.
one is kind of a bit Christopher Nolan.
Which one?
Yeah, and it's more of that was the one where it was like it was less a ad and more a sketch. Like it's an idea as opposed to like a commercial parody.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Reese, and we are excited to make more of those. All right, what else are we excited about? The next segment, which is coming up right now, a little segment we like to call Aussie BRAWL.
Working title.
That title is going to be replaced at the end of this segment. Aussie BRAWL, presented by Avexia. Will, talk to us about the literal days of work you put into that title.
Absolutely. It was a good bit of explosion, good bit of earth. All things I worked tirelessly on, especially the earth.
Yeah.
It's taken me many years to make it look like that.
the earth. It took you I heard it took
7 days.
6 days.
Yeah.
You had a day off.
But you've
took the
rested
last
now.
Today, where he's resting in his Yoda fucking
chilling
hoodie.
Yeah.
That
But
should
I'm
be
here
the
now.
Old
It's the
Testament when
7th day.
then God rested in an
Perfect.
Udi.
So, Aussie BRAWL, brought to you by Avexia. Thank you very much, Avexia, for sponsoring this segment. We hope that you will be happy with it. We certainly are. Like we often making comments on the way that your name is pronounced. This is got names tied in there somehow. Yeah, that was elegant enough. We were excited by the announcement of Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl early at the end of last week. So we thought, given that it's not coming out for a couple of months, we would make the wait easier by designing our own brawler using the true GOAT IP, and that is Australian Kids TV show characters. So we have all picked 2 characters each, and there was a competition running over the course of today in the Discord and on our social media where we got submissions from you guys. We have taken those submissions. We've picked 2 winners. So there are 2 audience suggestions here, and those 2 people will win themselves a copy of Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. It's nearly a list. They will win themselves a copy of Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl when it comes out on the platform of their choice. So when it comes out, we will buy you a copy of that game.
Can I say something?
Yeah,
Yes.
you can.
I maybe misunderstood the challenge, and I did not choose kids program people.
Okay.
We'll see what happens.
All right, I'm excited to find out.
Well, I love that
Steph's first one was.
We've designed.
Well, I was going to say
cutscenes
herself,
for them.
but you were on a
Toadie.
kids Australian TV show, so that's fine.
That's true.
So the but we also want to give away one more copy of the game, and that is we're going to need a title for this game. So there's Smash Brothers, obviously. We've got Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, and then this is going to need a similar sort of title, Australia themed. So think about what you want that title to be over the course of this segment. At the end, we're just going to randomly pick a title that we'd like from the audience. We'll get you guys to just start spamming it in chat, and we'll find one. That person will also win themselves a copy of the game. All right. Peter Burns, you were clear on the rules.
I
so
was,
let's
but I've
start
also
off with
forgotten
you.
what I said. And so I'm
so
going to
Leslie,
as I bring
I
up
want
the
to say
slide.
too that Will didn't pull me up on it, so you had every
That's what I was gonna
opportunity.
mention before. It's like
His nature
things
of
have been
chaos.
that we've designed cards for each of them, and clearly, even if you had this slightly misstewed, it's like we've designed these things. So, like, I'm interested.
I really liked the picks, and where they go is really interesting. But I was
Okay,
just
good.
like, I don't want to lose these.
Okay, good. And to be
First
fair,
fight.
also he is resting. Today is his rest day, so he's
That's
actually
I can't do much more.
It's on his day off.
I'm sorry.
You can't ask
And
him to work on his day
as
off.
you
And,
mentioned,
and yeah, so Pete, before we go,
Yep.
we each come up with the character that we want, the location of the stage that character will bring with them, and the special move that character has. All right, Peter, kick
Yep.
us off.
And my first one was Flap of Blinky Bill fame, but not Blinky
Nice.
Bill, because in honor of what Nickelodeon did, we're taking a side character. Now, Flap,
Good.
you may remember as the lispy platypus from Blinky Bill.
Spinner.
Yeah, he had he was a bit like the cat
the shark?
from Looney Tunes. Who's the cat in Looney Tunes?
Sylvester.
Sylvester.
Festa.
Now
yeah.
I have Flap inside a Warwick Fuller painting,
Beautiful.
which is go and look up Warwick Fuller. He's a wonderful Australian artist. Does beautiful landscapes. And now his special move, of course, is Spitstorm. He does a sprinkler spit, which slows down enemies and applies a dot as well. So it's a light dot. It's more about the speed, the mobility, hampering. So it kind of just sprays the field and then can kind of has a moment to decide what the next action is.
This segment has already
Excellent.
done what it should do, which is I'd never thought about this character since the last time I watched an episode of this when I was 11. I turned that episode off, and I've not once thought about Flap since then. So I'm like, this is
Totally.
perfectly doing what it should do.
Now, Flap rocks. Good
Flap
work.
the bells. That's my first one.
Flap is the first fighter in this game in the yet-to-be-named All-Star Brawl title. Gus. I'm so excited to get to Steph because she's clearly just going I have fucked this so.
I'm sorry, Steph.
vehemently.
I'm sorry. I found them funny, and I forgot what the point of the game was.
That's so good. Well, my
Gus.
first pick, and we can bring it up because I'm pretty sure I know who it is. But my first pick is Aggro.
There he
Aggro, the bad puppet.
He's a bad boy.
Aggro, the host of Cartoon Connection. I had to pick a puppet. So therefore, the arena.
And also
you
a
would-
sex pest.
Massive
Yep.
sex pest.
Massive sex pest.
Yeah, so that gets into the special move. The arena would obviously be this Cartoon Connection set. You've got the table that you'd fight on, and then you have
Yeah.
the wonky mirror, a window in the background, just that real slap together play schools sort of not play school, but Saturday morning TV set. The special move, a hand is inserted into the opponent, puppet style, giving you control over their moves. So what you can do is then you can throw them off the stage. But while that's
Right.
happening, Aggro will make an inappropriate joke. and then get bashed on the head by a giant Anne-Marie, which is
That's
what
great.
happened if you ever go and watch all the inappropriate things he said. So inappropriate so that, like, she is the co-host, would not, like, give him a little hit on the head. She'd hit him so hard the puppet
And
would, like,
you can
cave
see her trying to
inwards.
hurt his wrist.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she was like trying to hurt the man, not the puppet. She was like, fuck you.
A puppet has a space for a hand to go because it's a puppet. How is the hand inserted into the opponent?
That's the magic of
I'll leave that up
puppetry.
to your imagination. I will say, Steph, you have touched on the thing that I didn't realize, which was my dad got like a VHS video when he went to like some business trip years ago in the 90s that was like hosted by Agro and like how to help your company. It was like this weird gift. And I didn't realize, I would have been like 9. I didn't realize any of the like jokes that he would make that were really adult. And so there was one point where he was like giving business advice in this weird like, you know, corporate made video. And he was like, you make the
losing player, but it ends up blowing up in their face and teaching them a valuable lesson about life, which is the plot of every episode of Genie from Down Under. But there is a purchasable skin as well, and that skin is Sandy Winton, who replaced Reese Muldoon because of scheduling conflicts for the second season of Genie from Down Under.
Reese Muldoon was so good. He's a fantastic Aussie actor. He's like an everyman.
Great actor. Great actor. So that is all of our picks. Will, can you give us the first audience pick for All-Star Brawl?
I will say, I think this is probably unbeatably the oldest reference amongst these.
Okay.
This one's coming to us from 21 Faces. So congratulations, 21 Faces. You've won one of two of the audience votes. It is Mr. Squiggle.
Oh, good.
That's pretty deep.
Artist.
I spent so long. I wanted a phallic painter, but he doesn't paint. He uses his
He does. So you came up with all these subheaders?
He did.
I did.
Lovely work. Lovely work.
Apart from Gus's. Gus took care of his ones.
Yeah, right.
I left that.
See, and Steph and I named our abilities, so you were left with like a mishmash of like
so many ideas. So Mr. Squiggle, obviously location is Blackboard from the show.
Yep.
Ben's note here, there was a lot of people that submitted Mr. Squiggle.
And halfway through, upside down, fuck yeah.
That is so
good.
So that's the have I got this wrong? Yeah, but the important thing is the Blackboard from the show. So this is the stage. The platforms and background are constantly changing as new squiggles appear and lines connect them into shapes.
Yeah,
so good.
Love that.
Oh, that's awesome.
That.
So the stage itself is what got you the win, as well as the special move, which is yelling upside down. The turn this turns the entire stage upside down for 15 seconds, reversing everyone's movement controls except.
Oh, that's
OP. That's
very
good.
Also, like again, I know I'm going to cop flack for this, but if you go back and watch an episode of that, like the puppeteering to draw the thing with this like long-limbed thing, I don't know. Was his hand up the neck? How was he drawing? Like,
no, there was no hand up the neck.
No.
That's,
I don't know. Go watch an episode and
too...
try and tell me how they were getting accurate drawings on the actual board. It's insane.
Was there a cutaway?
No, he does the whole thing with the marker. It's insane.
We'll find out. We'll find out.
Vesuvius brings up a point I always thought. He was always upside down drawing, hence why they were always flipped around. That's why there was so much upside downing in the show. So I think that actually does hold some weight. The puppeteer's upside down doing it. So then when later on,
there's no like I'm watching a clip right now. The neck was totally like retractable and stuff. There's no hand in there. So it is totally like I don't know how they do it, but it's true puppetry and not the bullshit that you practice. All right, let's move on to the second round, and that is Peter Burns.
All right,
your second fighter, please.
My second fighter is the Digliana Widebottom of the Ferals.
So good.
All of the Ferals would be great.
She's fluffy, but she's tough.
Yeah,
she is.
All of the Ferals would be great, but she was like the brawler. So she's got a wrestling ring, but in a shed out back. So she's got like a tool shed, but there's a ring in the center of it as well. And you can fall outside like a WWE wrestling ring.
Yep.
And her special move is the Mangy Martyr. And she consumes one of her remaining lives for 20 seconds of brutal rage strength. So she does double damage and takes half. And so like you would use that once you get down to like 10% health, you just consume that. You go like, fuck it, I'm going to use my ulti basically. Kill your like stock, lose one stock, but you only have
Does she have 9 lives?
She doesn't have 9 lives because that, unless everyone's got 9 lives.
Yeah.
She uses like the last of her stock.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. That's
burns
so good.
it and then is like strong for 20 seconds to kick some butt for a bit.
She was totally like an Australian Miss Piggy, wasn't she?
She totally was. I mean, that's how it was
Yeah.
played. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Even to like, because she was kind of like, she was the matriarch to Radiss's kind of.
Radis? Darren.
He was the lead male for sure.
And there was a Mixie the bunny, I think it's called Mixie.
And she was named
Mixomatosis.
So dark for a kid show. The bunny is named after poison.
You know, Janet worked on that show for years.
Yeah.
She did.
That's why the first episode of Good Game had a puppet in it, Peanuts, because she was
Everyone loves
like,
Peanuts.
everyone loves puppets.
Puppets work.
Puppets work. And then after the
Gus on
first
board.
episode, everyone complained about the puppet so much that they had to kill him off in episode 2.
Yeah, good.
Is the subheading here just a placeholder?
Children's television.
No, it's very.
It's in inverted commas. Yeah. Children's television.
I almost doubled down on the inverted, but I thought that'd be too much.
Yeah, that was good. That's good. I see that.
Gus, your second fighter, please.
I thought I might have gone older with my show, but yeah, I think ever since Mr. Squiggle popped up, I can't beat that. My second fighter is, of course, Hermes and Darkus.
Yes!
Nice. Hermes and Darkus. Yeah, right on board, Steph, because that does play into his special move. Here's a sure thing when it comes to picking one. His arena would, of course, be, is it Cirque Island? It was the island the kids were trapped on because all their parents worked there and all they wanted to do was get to the mainland. If you ever saw this show, it was a jewel made by Perth Australia TV. And Hermes' special move is he pulls out a synthesizer. I originally thought like some kind of wind instrument. It is definitely not when you go back and re-listen to that. The whole thing is done on a synth keyboard.
Synth,
So he pulls out a synthesizer and blasts his opponent with the jaunty theme song to Ship to Shore, overwhelming them with crippling nostalgia. They are just overwhelmed. They have to sing along to it, giving you open for attacks in between. But yes, Hermes and Darkus, the actual like just stupid comic relief.
Gus, right? His special move.
Gus, did you just copy this in? The word crippling?
And also
synthesizer? Yep.
Oh, I just wrote this very quickly.
I just wanted to check.
Hands off. I copy and paste. I touch nothing.
Oh my god.
I think I was just writing in Slack really quick, and if you read my Slack chat, it is a mess. And I just copy and pasted that back in. But, yeah, there you go, guys.
Good.
I actually went back and watched a few clips of him, and like everyone is giving, even the kids are giving pretty grounded performances. And then he plays this like absolute just like buffoon that like makes all these sound effects and catchphrases as he like trips over things. And I'm like, just as a soundboard to use for the game.
He was so good. I went and looked it up as well because I had very strong memories of Hermes and Darkus, and I remember like him just being such a beloved character of that show. He carried that show for sure.
Totally. And also looking up all these pictures to put as them, I said to Will earlier on, impossible to find a picture that wasn't like, I don't know, 20 by 50 pixels. And so I used an AI algorithm to improve his facial features. So you are now looking at the highest resolution picture of Hermes and Darkus that exists on the internet.
Oh yeah,
so good.
Hell yeah.
It's just the best name as well, Hermes and Darkus.
Yeah. He's great. I wonder if he's still acting.
He did an ad for like Men's Health. It was like a Beyond Blue kind of ad, and it was a good ad, but he just looked like a man in his like late 40s that looked really sad and depressed, and you couldn't help think it was the character now like living his later years.
I feel like I saw that because I feel like we've been down this rabbit hole before.
We definitely have.
Of wondering about of actors from Ship to Shore. Where are they now?
Get them on the show.
All right, Steph.
So speaking of kids TV shows, Steph, give us your next pick.
I'm sorry, Steph.
I just misunderstood the challenge. My final fighter is, of course, the iconic Tracy Grimshaw. What? A current affair. What?
Kids, gather around the TV. It's time to watch a bunch of bludgeoning tradies.
Tracy Grimshaw, her level would be a one-on-one interview room where she interrogates you with personal questions that you'd previously agreed not to discuss. And her special move is called Terrifying Hyperbole, where she strikes fear and madness into the heart of her enemy with hyperbolic claims that apply a 30-second paralyzing effect.
That's fucking funny.
God,
see why that couldn't go away? You can't lose that.
My God,
phenomenal.
There's a good journalist buried somewhere behind that woman who spent too long on fucking a current affair.
Most of the journalism was in the legs, which have since been chopped off. Have we ever publicly talked about the centaur theory, or was that just something that we?
I've never heard that. I just thought it was because it rhymed. I've never heard.
No, it's that I'm convinced that she's I think it was a screenplay thing. I'm convinced that she's a centaur because I've never seen her for anywhere else behind the desk. And it was this idea that like, and it was centaur that went to like, she's just a series of tubes underneath there, like just powering some fear machine.
And it was also like my only kind of experience with her once she was on A Current Affair was like, she's just like, your neighbors are dodgy, we're chasing people in the streets with cameras. And then like, that's all I knew about her for like a decade. And then it was like horse flu came to Australia and she was like a massive advocate of like protect our horses.
I was like,
this is the only other piece of information I know about you.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay, Steph, a fantastic choice. Brilliant work.
I was more of a Ray Martin man myself.
Will Yates.
Me. I'm back to my childhood, and I'm back to old Tom is my next pick.
From last week?
Yeah, old Tom from down the street.
Oh boy, he coming.
Oh boy, he coming. It's our kind of like, it's like itchy and scratchy Tom and Jerry, but it's just a cat causing a lot of mayhem, and that's kind of his whole thing. The only reason, backyard tussle, he exists in a house, there's a backyard. The reason I wrote this is, and this will speak to people probably that went through primary school at the same time as me, is his special
Scholastic.
move. Yeah, is Book Fair.
Amazing.
And when it's activated, author Lee Hobbs, who wrote the original books, arrives to sign all the opponent's copy of the original Tom
so fucking sweet.
novel. And while they're distracted,
brilliant.
Tom just attacks them all, gives them 50 damage.
Good.
So-
That's
Very
great.
good.
That's
How
really
fucking
sweet.
good was Book Week and Book Fair at
Oh, man.
school? Like, filling out the like scholastic form of like, this is what I want to order, and then 7 months later getting that book.
My era was Del Toro Quest, and it was like the first time I experienced like the spines of the series had like gems that would fill up. So it's like if it was the fifth one, it would have like 5 gems on the spine.
From memory, was Book Week the one? Was there one where the MS Readathon? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
Readathon,
I remember that.
That was the one where you had to
Readathon.
write. You raised money. You had to write as many books as you could finish. And I do remember one of the years doing it, and all for a good cause. Getting to the point where it's like I'd read 6 Goosebumps, and I'd read a bunch of these books,
Yeah.
and then at the end,
Animorphs.
someone at the point was like, "Gus, Animalia." I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "It's got no words." I'm like, "I finished it."
I read every page.
Gus,
I looked at the whole thing.
Yeah,
Gus, it says at the bottom here that you read Infinite Jest. What's that about?
Also, Animalia might explain my terrible spelling. All I read was picture books.
Amazing.
Let's keep going. So was this show called Old Tom? And he's the
it was
I have
called
no
Old Tom,
idea
yeah.
what this show is. Yeah,
I remember this a little bit.
Such an insight. It's so funny because it's like I know all the shows from the 90s and the sort of, I guess, like very early 2000s, and I know all the kid shows now, but there's like a 15-year gap that Will fits right in where I'm like, oh boy, who's coming?
And as possibly the oldest person here, it's sad that I recognize this one as well. Like, I definitely like cartoons.
All right, my final fighter is from a TV show that used to kind of creep me out. And I think it's because of the way that it was made, which was humans. It wasn't puppets. It was humans in full-size costumes. And that is a little show called Johnson and Friends.
Yes!
Alfred, the grumpy,
Oh my gosh.
leaky hot water bottle from
Hot water
Johnson and
bottle was,
Friends.
and he had the weird rubbery kind of sound
Everything
effects.
wiggled on
Squishy.
him.
Totally.
He was, that's a
and
good
he always sloshed around. So the
I would
location
have made a
is-
mistake and picked the accordion or something if I went Johnson and Friends. But
So he wasn't in every episode. They found him in episode 2 hiding underneath the bed, and they thought he was a monster. The stage is Michael's bedroom, and his special move is he opens up his plug. Everyone thinks he's going to spray them, but then he just whines and complains and is a shithead until everyone gets bored and gives up on the game.
Nice.
Because that's really what Alfred did most of the time. But
he was like the Eeyore of the group. He was like, everyone was doing something active, and Alfred just like tags along and goes, this sucks.
Yeah.
But it is amazing because I went back and I watched some episodes of the show today when I was picking this, and it's like they are adults in these huge costumes in this huge room, and there's something really charming, and like they just don't make TV like that anymore, but at the same time really creepy about what's going on.
It's all shot on that high angle as well. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah,
it's
to
like
make it
not only
look
are they
small.
just in a big set, they do film it all like 45 degrees down to make it look like you're at standing height, which is crazy.
And I watched, and I went. There was an episode that really creeped me out, and then I found it, and it was there's one on set on a really hot day where they all go and hide under the bed because Michael didn't close the blind, and they need water. And Macduff and Johnson go.
Macduff's the truck?
No, Macduff is the accordion.
Accordion,
And Macduff and Johnson go, hang on a second, Alfred's hoarding all the water. He's full of water. Alfred, give us some water. And they basically, the whole episode is about them trying to drink Alfred, which is like drinking his blood. And I remember watching that episode going like, this is fucked up. What's going on? He'll die. But yeah, pretty phenomenal show. So that is my second pick.
Also, can I just say, Will, clearly the algorithm couldn't clear up this photo.
No, just let this one happen.
Recognize a water bottle.
Yeah.
And it's even better, like, you look at that face, you look at everything, and just go, there is a grown adult in there somewhere struggling to breathe.
Pushing the
I never thought about that either.
face.
Yeah,
For
totally.
sure.
That they're all big
It's amazing.
costumes, and
It's
everything
amazing.
was made to look small. Wow.
So good. All right, the second audience pick, thank you, Will. And then after that, we are going to ask for the title of the game. So get ready with your titles. Spam them in chat when I say we'll pick a winner, and that person gets a copy of Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl as well.
Yep.
Will.
So there were a bunch of this answer as well, but this one won in particular again because of the special move. And the answer, it comes from Around the Twist, and the answer
Thank
is
God someone used it.
Bronson.
There it is. We're all thinking it.
Yeah.
Arena location, obviously, the lighthouse, but stage as well is a little bit fun. The stage would be a vertical tiered stage with floating platforms leading up to the top of the lighthouse. And then, of course, the special move, which is the dick spin. This could be chain attacked, where Bronson uses his propeller penis to slash, hack, and damage any foes that stand in their way. And so thank you, Lesser of Two Weevils. Well done.
Well done.
Fantastic work, Lesser of Two Weevils. I will say, I feel like we all didn't pick Round the Twist because we all thought someone else would pick Round the Twist.
I all thought like penis attack from Bronson too, instantly.
Yeah.
I thought that, and I also thought the pregnant tree. Which was also an incredibly weird episode.
Yeah.
But when I was doing research on Ginny from Down Under only exists because Round the Twist was such a huge hit in England that the BBC co-financed with the ABC Ginny from Down Under because they were like, we need another Reese Muldoon special. And so that's where
How
Ginny
funny
from
as
Down
well though that they've gone like, we really like this international pitch of an Australian show. So instead of doing this like seaside town, which is not that Australian, but it's lovely and it's Australian in its performances, they're like, right, it's going middle of Down Under. Everett's red dust. It's like Reese Muldoon in a hat. It's like, you tried too hard, guys. Come on.
Well, it was actually still very popular in the UK, apparently. So congratulations to our two winners there, Lesser of Two Weevils. And who was the other one, Will? Sorry?
It was 21 Faces.
21 Faces.
Congratulations.
We will be in touch. Big Ben will be in touch with you. And then again, when the game comes out, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, and we will send you a copy of that game. And I now am opening submissions for the title of this game. We've got one final slide to reveal. We need the title for it. So, chat, please tell us what you think this video game
Ramsey
should be called.
Street
Our
Roughhouse.
favorite answer will be the winner. Ramsey Street Roughhouse is very good.
Burke's
Lucas.
Backyard Brawl.
Burke's Backyard Brawl, but Burke's a piece of shit.
Oh, but
though.
Burke's a piece of shit.
So is Emmett.
So is Aggro, performer.
Bronson's Brawler. Aussie,
Castle.
ouch, ouch.
Oz Brawler Champions, ABC.
Aussie, ouch is good.
That's very good. That's very
That's Spazarus. There we go. Outback Aussie Pub Fighter. Kinda Phallic Combat. Fight
PG
Fair.
Pidge, Fight Behind Macca's.
Fight Behind Macca's is pretty good.
That's cool.
good. That's good.
Out Backyard Brawlers is
Holy
also
shit,
good.
better Brawls and Gardens?
That's good. Oh my god. No. Can I suggest Anakin's Brawwallaby Wombat Battlegrounds? Oh my god. Wombat Battlegrounds.
One Battlegrounds. Yeah, I like One Battlegrounds. That's good.
Aussie Basher at the Gaza. Outback Strike Back. What was the one that you just said? Sorry, Johnson and Enemies, says Pat is melting, which is also fantastic.
Oh, that's really good. But I think Johnson and Friends, of course. I was like, Johnson and Johnson?
What was the one that you just said, Gus?
I have to scroll up. It's moving too fast. It was like Better Brawls and Gardens.
Oh, Better Brawls and Gardens? Was that it?
Yeah, I like
Where
that.
was it? Oh, where are you?
Went really fast. I think I found it.
Where are you?
Yeah, I like Better Brawls and Gardens.
Yeah, I like...
It's
where are you?
It's Maroon Unicorn or Marin Unicorn.
Marin Unicorn. Okay, so I would say it's Better Brawls and Gardens or Johnson and Enemies are the two
Johnson and Enemies
finalists.
makes me laugh.
Yeah, me
most.
too.
Yeah, I reckon we do Johnson and Enemies.
Okay. I'm
That
with
is
Johnson
just-
and Enemies as well because I think that's
Because
wonderful.
that opens up the door to the 4 other characters that are in that that show. Because remind me, Macduff was a
Johnson is the
accordion.
hero.
There was Johnson, who was an elephant, who was the hero. There was a red truck, though, right? Am I
Yes,
imagining?
Diesel.
Yeah.
Diesel was the truck,
Yeah,
and
okay, right.
Johnson was the elephant.
Gotcha.
Cool. Well, Pat is melting. Congratulations. You have won the Johnson and Enemies is the game title. But I also feel like since we shouted out so much, should we just give Marin Unicorn a copy of the game as well? I think we should.
I think so.
For Better Brawls and Guns seems like a pretty good choice as well. So even though that's not the official title, you also get a copy of Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl when it comes out. Will, can you please reveal the final selection screen for our...
remove me.
Yep.
For our video game entitled Johnson
screen it.
and Enemies.
There he is.
Oh, look at that lineup.
There they are.
Amazing.
That's the crew.
Yes.
Tracy Grimshaw.
This is a launch day lineup.
There's a Tracy McBean and a Tracy Grimshaw. What are the odds?
The two Tracys.
Incredible.
Also, Hermes and
is
Bruce are also looking wistfully off in the same at each other with
making
that same
hissing
look.
faces. Yeah. And Agra's just jerking off watching. This is a great lineup. This is a nice varied lineup of Australian TV fighter characters.
I like it, and it would be very visually exciting to see how all of these special abilities play out on the battlefield. It'd be great.
Only 3 animated ones. Interesting.
Yeah, I was expecting heaps more animated characters, but I guess we watched a lot of American cartoons.
Little Elvis?
Yeah, which is why we're so excited about Nickelodeon.
Exactly, yeah, totally, yeah, exactly. Which is why if this came out, we were like, oh yeah, this is a fun meme, but we're never going to play this game. But the Nickelodeon one, we're actually excited about.
Cost us, I don't know.
All right, cool.
Nice.
Thank you very much to everyone for playing along with that, and we're going to go to a short ad break, and we'll be back right after this.
Right, I have 2 design pieces to finish off, so much other work to do, no distractions. I need to get this done. Maybe just one game. Right, he's to the left, he's to the left. Come on, help me! Come on!
Sing, my angel of music!
I'm gonna stay here all fucking night.
Take.
Me.
Not my tempo. Not my tempo.
We're probably done.
When you know it's time to mix business with bizness. Ponk. When you play 7 instruments, each one like the love child of Yo-Yo Ma and Santana. Ponk. When you're 1K from having a really problematic logo. Ponk. A fragrance for men, because you deserve to smell like a tin whistle.
Welcome back, and a big thank you to Coastal City, Spazrus, and Slowpunk for your words from our sponsors and the commercial. Slowpunk, of course, happy birthday wherever you are right now in the world. But Coastal City as well, a new one that we saw there. And as Gus pointed out, such a neat room.
We've seen that one before, haven't we?
Yeah.
Have we?
Yeah, we've seen that.
Really?
Before, yeah.
But as Nick likes to say, is that a new ad?
I feel bad.
Every time.
I feel bad. I'm so sorry, Coastal City. I just don't pay any attention to that part of the show. I was sure.
It's awesome. It is like such a stylish and well-designed room.
The thing
it's
I
such an
commented
insight
was
into your life, a little window into Coastal City's world.
Well, the thing I commented about was like, is that where you keep your gaming setup, which is a lovely 45-degree angled TV on a nice little table off from the corner of your bed? And do you perch on your bed to play? Do you play in bed? Like, because I don't know if I could do that, but I'm like, I respect that you've got just such a neat, lovely.
I like to be off to the side of the bed when
I have to be lying on the floor next to the bed with my head cranked on a weird angle. So
you have said to us that I think you've even used the word perch, that you perch at the end of your couch when you're playing COD. Like you are a perch gamer in some
That is true. That is true. But on the end of a bed, I would feel that's not what you don't perch on a bed.
Too sexy. You don't perch on a bed. So thank you very much to you guys for sending this in. It's nearly the end of the show, but we did have one more quick segment. The EA Play Live is happening at like 3 a.m. tomorrow morning, Sydney time. And we just wanted to quickly talk about what we thought might be there, what we would want to be there in a little segment we like to call EA Play.
Just there's no sound.
There's no you didn't. There's no mix under that.
Good, I like it.
Yeah. There's no. A lot of effort really went into the titles this week. I really appreciate it. EA Plays is where we're just going to go around the horn and say the one thing that we hope that EA show off tomorrow. Now, I will say that there has been some confirmation of things that will be there, and that includes Battlefield 2042 and Apex Legends will be getting some special attention tomorrow. Very excited about Battlefield there. They've also commented on things that will not be there. And that is anything about Mass Effect, Dragon Age, or Star Wars is not going to be at EA Play Live. But they do say that there is going to be a focus on games that are launching soon rather than in the all too distant future. And there are going to be, quote, some surprises. Ooh. It is widely believed that EA will formally announce the heavily rumored new Dead Space title at EA Play Live. So we also wanted to just encourage EA, who I think have been doing pretty well over the past 2 years of going from that company that put microtransactions into everything to doing, they put out stuff like It Takes Two, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is really great. They're taking some creative, Apex Legends is awesome. They're really taking some creative chances. So let's start with Angus. What do you want to see at EA Play Live tomorrow?
Sure. I'm hanging out for EA to give me some juicy info on the next iteration, or the return, I should say, to EA at the helm of a PGA Tour golf game. EA Challenge Everything used to just ruled all the golf games when they had Tiger Woods for all the PGA Tour games. That stopped, obviously, when Tiger Woods went a little off the handle, and they also, I think, shifted the license across to Rory McIlroy, who is still the fifth best golfer in the world.
He's still playing. I fell asleep watching Rory McIlroy play in the Open 2 nights ago. So
I fall asleep watching golf all the time.
yeah, it's not even at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Stay awake while I tell you about all the things I'm looking forward to. No, they've announced that they are releasing a new PGA Tour game, even though 2K took over the PGA license last year. I never played that game. I still haven't played, I never bought it and played it because it's still $120 because it's a 2K game. And so I'm looking forward to EA releasing their one. They haven't announced who they're headlining on the cover or anything like that, but they have announced it'll be a strictly next-gen game, so it won't be also on PS4 or on Xbox One. It'll be fully next-gen, which will look fantastic. They have also announced that they're including the LPGA Championship, which is the ladies, which we've had female golfers available to play in previous titles, but they haven't had the tournament. So I think there are 5 tournaments. There's the Masters, the PGA Tour, but now they're doing the LPGA as well. And they're fleshing it out properly with they're actually changing. They're doing proper ladies' tee distancing from the hole and the green. They've got proper commentators who do those tournaments and everything like that. It's hopefully just not a tacked on kind of thing as well.
Yeah, nice.
And so that's cool. And then other things I'm just looking forward to. Yeah, EA returning, because I really loved all the EA golf games. And I didn't quite gel with the most recent 2K one. I played all of Rory McIlroy, but it just felt like it had hit the ceiling of what they had come to achieve with the Tiger Woods series. So I want heaps of details on that. And yeah, just want it to look really shiny and lovely and just a nice golf game again. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. Peter Bance.
I was hoping to hear about a FIFA or something. Like they used to be really good at making sports games, EA, and they just like you said, Gus, they just they've been avoiding it for so long now, at least 11 months.
And particularly because they've got a lot of competition now with e-football. E-soccer? E-football? Yeah. Good.
No, I would love to see Westwood Studio revived. Bring me some more Red Alert. I'm ready for RA4, baby. That would be a surprise. Like, I feel like we're due for a really light-hearted strategy game again. Everything's so serious in that genre at the moment.
That's true.
And like, Tim Curry memes so hard from that third game. It wasn't the best. It wasn't the best installment of. Oh no, he was in 2.
And that was all FMV, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was in 3. He was in 3. Sorry, he was in 3. Yeah. And like, I loved 2. I played so much Red Alert 2 and Yuri's Revenge. And 3 didn't quite gel with my friendship group where we play Dota and stuff now. But I would love I'd love a 4 that kicks ass.
We're overdue for a parody war.
Yeah. We're done with the real ones. We need we need a meme.
Lighthearted global conflict.
Stephanie, what are you keen for tomorrow?
Look, it's a bit unlikely that this would ever happen, but I feel like Mirror's Edge just didn't get a good go with its sequel, Catalyst. I feel like what I like about Mirror's Edge is that I feel like it introduced a really new kind of gameplay, and it had a really cool female protagonist in a time when there weren't a lot of female protagonists. And I just really wanted to know more about her as a character, and I wanted to know more about the world. But I think so much emphasis was placed on the sort of core sort of gameplay mechanic of parkour and free running and stuff that they never really fleshed out those other parts. And I thought with Catalyst, they would do that they were like, okay, here is a modern take on a game that like did kind of well at the start because people really enjoyed it, but it was maybe had a very steep learning curve, so not everyone kind of gelled with it. Now we can really kind of nail the gameplay, flesh out the world a bit more, give it a really good story, and learn more about this character and why she's doing what she's doing and that kind of stuff. And I feel like Catalyst really was a letdown in that respect. I think they focused hard on the gameplay again and kind of nailing that, for a modern system. But the story really kind of was predictable and kind of sucked. And a lot of the characters I just found quite unlikable outside of Faith herself. And I still feel like I didn't get to know enough about her and her motivations and stuff like that. So it would be really cool to see Mirror's Edge get a treatment that gives us more insight into her as a character and kind of makes because the world always felt like a big set piece, which I understand it's a vehicle for a parkour game, but Assassin's Creed is also a kind of a parkour game, and they do a really good job of fleshing out that world and making it feel lived in and real and alive. And I would love to see, Mirror's Edge kind of transform in that way, but I don't.
They started the ball rolling. They're like, every game's going to have parkour in it now. You've got Mirror's Edge. You've got Dying Light.
Well,
Dying Light 2 is still coming out.
You catch yourself there, but like you can't play a COD or a Halo now where you don't or a
jump off a wall.
Yeah, where you can't grapple over walls and stuff.
For a while. Yeah, that's true.
Not even wall running. It's like the idea of what do they call it where you launch yourself over a wall?
Fast vaulting.
Vaulting, yeah. You can vault in every fucking game.
Yeah, that's true.
Every
Titanfall, a pawn called Bishop, totally. Yeah.
Warframe as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also I think that Steph, you totally nailed it in terms of the thing with Mirror's Edge is it's like it didn't commit either way. Like it wasn't so purely about the action of the parkour that it was kind of like these almost puzzle room style things of just like make it through this and get through. It still had the plot, but it didn't commit to the story stuff, and that there was the opportunity in the second one to do that. I totally agree. I want to like Mirror's Edge, and I play them and I go, oh, I feel like I'm either should be doing a timed run against a ghost leaderboard or this should be like the main mechanic in a really cool future story game, and it's neither of those things. So yeah, totally. We'll see what happens there. And then my pick. So I want to see Plants vs. Zombies again, and I love the Plants vs. Zombies games, but I actually think that the thing that they could bring back and could be successful now is to make another Garden Warfare, their shooter, their Plants vs. Zombies shooter. It's actually really, really fun. It did not get the big player base that I think it deserved. And I think it actually was a situation where it was slightly ahead of its time and it never really caught up. I look at something like Fortnite now, and this, like, you could do, even though I don't want it to be a battle royale, you could do a battle royale style Plants vs. Zombies thing. It's such a cool world. There's so many unique ideas in there. It's really kid friendly, which I'm definitely now super conscious of going like, I want to be able to get Banjo into games where he can do, like Steph, you were talking about with your niece.
What's it rated though? Because I remember thinking, yeah, this is a cool like kids shooter that they can kind of play without it being, then I feel like it had some weirdly high rating.
Let me look it up. Well, because there were 2, right? So
there's been a sequel, yeah.
Yeah, so there was Plants vs. Zombies
there was
Garden Warfare 2.
There was Garden Warfare 3.
That's what I'm thinking.
Hit alpha.
Oh, that's right.
It's been announced
2 years ago.
Yeah. And then I think it didn't happen. Something didn't happen, or they turned it into a mobile game. Something happened.
Right.
But
Garden Warfare 1 was M, Garden Warfare 2 was PG.
Right, yeah, that's right. Garden Warfare was M. And I remember thinking that was super strange.
Yeah.
It was weird.
I mean, obviously they didn't intend that to happen. It just did.
They were just like, it's too close to calling it Modern Warfare. Yeah, you get that rating.
Yeah, totally. But I think as well, because the zombies, I think the zombies have shotguns from memory. I can't quite remember. So it might be a situation where there are like still guns in the game, or the zombies have like weapons, whereas the plants were like shooting plant-based stuff.
Yeah.
But regardless, it's such a fun idea, and I think that in a world right now where you're looking for that sort of like evolving, the multiplayer's back in a really big way, that could be something that they latch onto. And it just had a heap of personality.
Take the original concept again and do a nice reskin of that, or
just put out a new one of those. How much fun! Like, remember when PopCat games were the games that everyone played all the time? Like, fucking PopCat owned the world there.
Peggle 3 it, baby.
Peggle
3.
Give us another goddamn. Give me a good Bejeweled. Give me a 2021 Bejeweled. I'll take that as well. All right, well, we don't need to wait long because EA Play Live is happening tomorrow morning, and that is what we EA Poliers want to see there tomorrow.
Let's see
Alrighty, that is the end of Back Pocket for this Thursday night. We do, of course, have the post show coming up to you, brought to you by Raj. And in the post show, we can also read out some of the runners up from the competition for the Aussie TV Brawl submissions. There were some other really good ones that came in. We got tons, but we've got a couple of very good runners up that we can shout out there as well. We have another stream as well coming tomorrow. We haven't figured out a time. Do we want to figure out a time live right now?
Let's do it.
That seemed like something we could do.
Yeah.
One?
I'm happy with one.
I know you are, Kid Boy. That's why I think it should be in the day, right?
Kid Boy.
Oh, Kid Boy.
I could. Well, no, I could also do late at night.
I would rather not. I've had so many late nights this week. I would love to do a day one if that's all right.
I'll be playing Pokemon Unite from the moment we get off that stream.
That's what I'm waiting for.
That's what I reckon. It's generally about 10 minutes.
Unite.
It's generally 10 minutes between the end of this show and the beginning of the post show. So we could probably sneak in a game then. So we will be doing a Sea of Thieves stream tomorrow, the 4 of us. Steph is going to be our pirate captain and take us on a couple of adventures in Sea of Thieves to just see what we get up to.
A magical piratical journey. We're just going to do some fun stuff in the open world. No plans, just shenanigans.
All looking around.
We talked about this earlier, and I said to Steph, "There's so many things that have changed since I last played it. So I want to be the guy in the ship going, Steph, what is that? What's over there?" And just be this annoying one up the front.
What happens when they eat all these worms?
Why am I throwing up again? I feel sick. Pull over.
So that is going to happen tomorrow at 1 p.m. on this very Twitch channel. Then we'll be back on Monday with the Back Podcast. We will have probably not Game Club streams next week. We might do a Back Streams Back or something because Pete and Steph have finished their A Pirate Life ventures. But you were going to do a community one, weren't you, Pete?
Yeah. We'll talk to Big Ben and we'll organize something. I want to do at least one of those. Well, I'll probably do one of those between now and because We got to do the wrap up as well at some point.
Next Friday is going to be the wrap up of the actual game club for Sea of Thieves: A Pirate's Life. So there's lots of back pocket content coming your way. As always, thank you very much to everyone who stuck around and watched tonight. An absolute pleasure having you here. A massive thank you to our mods for helping in the Discord, being just phenomenal. Gat did some, you know what I like? I like jumping into mod chat in the Discord and just watching the mods do work live. And Gat took down a troll in the most spectacular fashion, where it was like receipts were shown, hoisted by their own petard, completely just like took their words and threw the back of their face in the most satisfying way. Oh, holy fucking shit. It was orgasmic to watch. And even the mods who don't do that are phenomenal in keeping our community safe, friendly, and running. And also our Twitch chat, not just our Discord as well. A massive thank you to all of our back pocket patrons. You all are the reason that this show is possible, and we cannot thank you enough. We are so thankful for the money that you throw our way and the eyeballs that you throw our way as well. Watching our content. A huge thanks to our top stitchers. You know who you are. That is Reese, Oranishi, Tim, Mason, not Nathan, Slowpunk, LokiCat, Raj, Akarash, Cameo, Avexia, Nicrotex, Boxy, The Coastal City, Max Jazz Games, Vegabus, and A. Timothy. Pretty soon we'll be able to expand that list because we will be opening up more slots for more commercials because we just love making those things so much. Speaking of Raj, stick around for the post show, which is sponsored by the man himself. Thank you to Will on the ones and twos. The digital, like at-home ones and twos. Yeah, he's kind of just in there in his hoodie doing. There he is. That's the work.
Is there a keyboard, or are you pointing down? Being like,
he's pointing at his giant Udi.
It's off. But I've got one.
He has got one.
Good.
Okay,
oh, that's
good.
filthy.
Yeah, you need to clean that.
Close that thing down, mate.
Seriously.
Yeah. How do you have 40 hats that you never wear, but one? And of course, a massive thank you to Big Ben for running the socials all week. If you want to see more of Big Ben's work, then head to @PocketVids on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram to see all the content. Putting out great videos nearly every day. Are we doing a video a day on socials?
Just
Holy
about.
shit! What was the? We 100% will be next week. Said the deepest voice I've ever heard in my ears in the lead up to our 1 year anniversary show next week. Pete,
and we'll be sending, obviously Ben will be sending videos your way on those channels, but send videos our way if you've got a word from the sponsor idea.
Thanks very much.
Keep it fun, keep it simple. We love them all.
Keep it sponsored if you want to.
Yeah. Keep it sponsored if you want to. Good. Thank you very much, everyone, for hanging out. We're going to see you next week, or we'll see you tomorrow for a stream, next week for the show, or in a couple of minutes' time after we have finished one Pokemon Unite match. Let's back it out.
Back it out.